Are we live? Oh,
No.
I see myself. We're live. It's Plat Chat Overwatch, episode 188, featuring Avast, AVRL, Jaws, and apparently Ninja. What's going on, AVRL? What are you doing?
Oh, we can check it out real quick. It's a little bit of a preview for what we'll be talking about today. Hang on.
Oh, it's the Twitch thing.
Are we talking about Fortnite?
Dude, you can do like a presentation.
Oh.
See that? It's just a bit of a
He's so
preview.
mad at Twitch. I can tell
Yeah.
because he's got
Look
the
at him,
circle crossing out. The
Yeah,
logo.
yeah. And there's
The
another
Puppet Master
logo
strings.
on Instagram is to the left of Twitter and the Twitch logo. So he's okay with those platforms, but bad Twitch, bad. He's
Why
pissed
is
at Twitch.
Ninja being positioned as like the Rothschilds here, where like he could control like the
know.
puppet strings and stuff? Like, is he saying he's part of the shadow world government? Like, what is
He's
happening?
part of the
What is
streaming
this?
Illuminati, you know? It's
of
him,
course.
Asmongold, and Shroud. They're the streaming Illuminati. So.
No more powerful or organized group of people has ever assembled than that group.
Ninja is kind of just like floating like in his own little kind of like bubble. I don't know how that makes sense. But after the Mixer deal, like he's kind of like the only content creator that like mega content creator that signed like a deal with Mixer, and now he's kind of
No,
like
Shroud did too.
No, Shroud
as
signed.
well.
with Mixer.
Yeah.
Wait, Shroud was a Mixer? I
Shroud was-
completely
yeah,
like
Shroud
forgot
got
about
Mixer
that.
deal. Yeah.
Wow,
It's-
I blacked that out.
Honestly, I mean, I'm surprised they're so. I mean, I guess they're just kind of bored. But like, if I got the mega bag, like, I'd be like, oh, I guess I'd just be doing whatever the fuck I want. Honestly, I'd be going live on like whatever streaming platform, and I would just be like, okay, today guys, we're playing Nintendogs, and we're gonna do that for like 8 hours or some shit. It's gonna be.
Oh
That's
my
kind of
God.
what
Funny-
he does, but
funny
just
thing
not
about,
a random platform.
The funny thing about Ninja and this whole thing is it's like he's become like that Jar Rule joke. It's like, what does Jar think? It's like, what does Ninja think about this? I want to know what Ninja's opinion is. So
Oh yeah,
Well,
he's the
I don't know.
He's the go-to opinion haver for everyone aged like 16 through
He's got
22.
he's got
I
a
suppose.
fucking. He's got a
Really?
book.
I'd say
got a book.
Voice Critical is that actually. Like, my God, I think he is more the voice of the people.
He had a
More
banger
than
tweet
Ninja.
yesterday. Yeah. And it went viral. Yeah, we'll talk more about that and everything going on with Twitch. We got a massive episode today, guys. So we gotta go to get through all this news before Avast has to get back to his job and actually do real work and not this pretend work.
No,
That's Plat
today
Chat.
I called out to make sure that we. Have
I
time
called
for
in
this
sick,
episode.
and now I'm on Plat
I called
Chat.
in sick.
talk about Twitch. I gotta call
Yeah.
him sick, man.
All right, we got all day apparently, but still we have lots of news today. So I mean, we should technically just get to it. So let's just get over with the most important thing first. We got Father's Day coming up, so you know what? You should buy Manscaped for your Father's Day gift right now. Utilize the code PLATCHAT for 20% off. I didn't tell the guys we were doing this, by the way, so they're all caught off guard. Manscaped. Use code PLATCHAT for 20% off, all right? You can get this amazing razor, by the way, that I have, actually, and I can confirm that it is amazing at shaving. It does its job. You can get the whole Performance Package 4.0 or the Platinum Package 4.0, which is already, like, yeah, that's like a huge sale on the website. And then you can take the PLATCHAT code, and you can add 20% off on top of that. So, I mean, we got this amazing trailer playing. But, Solomon, if you scroll down the website... Yeah, and you can press shop now. Just press shop now on any of these. Just press shop now on any of these packages. They're all amazing
And
packages.
then check out after. Shop now, then check out.
Yeah,
And then check out, and then put in your wacky credit card information.
Yeah, select your boxer
and-
size. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Fine. There you go. Whoa, hey,
Whoa.
press checkout, and let's hope Solomon doesn't have like autofill Google Forms. You save
look at that.
$350. That's already the sale. So you gotta press checkout now. I hope this doesn't show like Solomon's address or something. Okay, maybe we can't do that. I don't know. Yeah, add in all this stuff. Yeah. There you go. You can get all this stuff, and just look at the sales. You save $364.75, which is also cents.
Yeah.
Now you gotta press checkout. Can you press checkout, Solomon? Or is that like, yeah, we gotta
He's
double
making
check.
sure
We
you-
didn't rehearse this
We didn't rehearse
beforehand.
this.
We did not rehearse this beforehand. This is all ad-libbed.
And then
Okay,
discount code PLATCHAT, and you press OK, and look, $130 off. Whatever. This is such a huge package. You can get more savings on top of the savings, and this is a perfect Father's Day gift. And it has all the stuff you need. Avast, what did you buy for your fathers last year?
I bought him a cooler because he likes. I bought him a cooler because he likes the fish. But this year, I'm gonna buy him something to shave his dick and balls.
Well, he got the ball preserver, so that's also a cooler. It's a different kind of cooler, but it's cooler for your balls. And so this is the perfect kind of Father's Day gift. Performance package 4.0. And if you look, maybe you're the dad, okay? Maybe you listening. I'm gonna break the fourth wall here. Maybe you listening. Maybe you are the father. Maybe you are the dad, okay? Treat yourself to Father's Day gift. Use code PLATCHAT for 20% off. It's the perfect Father's Day gift. I totally vouch for Manscaped. I love Manscaped. I use the brand myself, so you know that I can vouch for it. It's good stuff. All right, I have that reputation in the scene. People talk about my reputation in the scene. It's
true. They talk about your
it's amazing.
They talk about that all the time. They talk about your hygiene.
My hygiene, my impeccable ball hygiene. Yep, a big talking point on Watchpoint. Anyway, thank you, Manscaped. Moving on then. Tons of news this week. We got news about Overwatch League, Twitch, CDL and YouTube. We got season 5 stuff, but I kind of want to start with the big macro infrastructure point, being the news that Overactive Media released yesterday, which was a big agreement with the league, and it was reported on by Kevin Hitt and Jacob Wolf, among others as well. So let's just get the big stuff out of the way before we can get to the gameplay and the brackets and I guess the boring board by business macro stuff out of the way first. So to set the scene, guys, I'm just going to go through all this information so that people have an idea of what we're discussing and all the details around it. And then you can add in some stuff if I missed something. But season 1, okay? Season 1 of the Overwatch League, 2018. Franchise fees are $20 million. We sold franchise, or not we. I did not get any of that. Bobby Kotick and other people sold those franchises for $20 million, okay? Season 2, they sold them for $27 to $35 million for these franchises, and they have paid part of those payments, but not all of those payments. So it's not like a one-time fee, like swipe your credit card for $35 million and you get a franchise in the Overwatch League. Not how it works. It's kind of separated by all these years, and then you have to pay over time, stuff like that, right? I hope they looked at a good funds rate. I don't know if that applies. Anyway, so they still owe the league, or they did still owe the league money for the franchise fees, and this has been a big talking point this year. It started out with the collective bargaining agreement that Jacob Wolf reported on earlier in the year, where Overactive Media, which is Toronto Defiant, and a few other franchises, I don't know if they listed out those names specifically, they came together and they went together to basically have conversation with the league about ways to sort of get some more monetary compensation, because COVID and everything is kind of hamstrung the league when it comes to the plans, and it's been a lot of changes in the formats and stuff like that. And so Overactive Media, they announced yesterday that they have secured some kind of deal, which includes, like Solomon highlighted, the elimination of outstanding entry fees. So outstanding, basically what is left of those franchise fees. And if you see at the bottom as well, it also includes early payment of league revenue share and a sponsorship agreement. And that all of those three things is valued at 10.8 million Canadian dollars, which translates or converts to about $8 million US. Wow, you already had this pulled up, Solomon. You are such a professional. $8.1 million. So, according to Jacob Wolf, I believe it was written in his report, that teams are still owe between $6 to $7.5 million. Actually, that might be Sports Business Journal that reported that. This deal for $8 million sort of adds up to that outstanding fee, $6 to $7.5 million, plus the sponsorship agreement, plus early league revenue share. Now, it was also then a quote was provided to Dot Esports and Scott Robertson, who reported on this, that Adam Adamu, who is the CEO of Overactive Media, he then said, "It is fair to assume that the agreement will cover other teams as well." So it's not only, apparently, reportedly, Toronto Defiant, in which this agreement applies, but also the rest of the league. So, reportedly, this applies to the rest of the league.
Can I add a detail?
Sure. Yeah.
SBJ confirmed that the entire rest of the league had it waived as well.
There you go.
On their end, they've confirmed it.
So, this reported fee between $6 to $7.5 million, it seems like that has kind of been waived or whatever for the entire league, the outstanding franchise fee payment. And then Sports Business Journal, they also got a quote from Alison Walker, who is something CCO or something like that. And they basically said that this was a great thing for the Overwatch League, but we're also willing to have these conversations about CDL teams. And that scene as well. So Overactive Media, they have a team there as well, Toronto Ultra. So they have the Defiant and Toronto Ultra. And it seems like they're willing to have these conversations about waiving the future franchise fees for the CDL teams as well. So massive stuff. And then the Activision Blizzard spokesperson, there's no name to this, I said the exact quote is... The esports industry continues to evolve, which is why we're continually exploring changes in our competitive structure together with teams. We look forward to sharing more details with our passionate fans as we head towards grand finals. So very loose, but I think the big takeaway there is the big keywords are we're continually exploring changes in our competitive structure together with teams. So we don't know what the sponsorship agreement entails outside of the early revenue share and the franchise fees, but we're yet to see what actually comes with this. But it seems like pretty huge, massive news. So I want to, does anyone have any like big takes from this? Like, is this a healthy announcement to you guys? Does this concern you at all, or is this just like good stuff that it's good progress for the business side of the league?
I'll start because I know Connor's probably got the most informed take out of all of us because he's close to the team side, closer than any of us. So the initial thing is like, what the biggest thing I read out of this, which is really healthy for the league, is the quote from the actual Overactive Media statement that says, "Our collaboration with the Overwatch League demonstrates our commitment to a league that offers the best experience for fans, teams, players," which shows that, you know, for Overactive and Toronto Defiant, they see a future with the league, especially with Toronto Defiant, but, you know, that the league, their eyes continuing forward, that it will continue forward. I think it's a huge deal because there's been the speculation of like, what's happening to the league? Is this the last year? I know that's like maybe some fan doomerism that we get. I think for the last 3 years, everyone's been saying, oh, maybe it's the last year of the Overwatch League, and that's been going on for several years.
There are no
now.
more doomer fans than Overwatch fans.
So I think this is one of the most surefire commitments that we've had, you know, from a team that says a future commitment to the league. So at least we know that Toronto's committed. We know some teams are probably on their way out, like the Guard with Cronky and co with LA Gladiators, right? They've basically already announced that they're going to be done this year. What this allows is teams that want to exit probably can exit, and maybe it's healthy for teams like the Guard, like LA Gladiators, who don't want to be a part of this anymore, to look for an exit. The interesting thing about this entire scenario is we don't know if the fees that have been paid are going to be reimbursed or not. And there's a couple different angles you can look at that, because if it does get reimbursed, I would wonder what the value of the team slots are, because what these teams want is on top of not being required to fulfill the rest of the franchise fees that they were supposed to pay, so that's been gone. But beyond that, they would still like some sort of team value in terms of them having a slot in the Overwatch League. That should still be valuable. So if that's taken away, I can imagine the teams would be pretty upset. So this is kind of a situation where the teams get to have their cake and eat it too. But honestly, for once, I think the teams kind of deserve it. They should get a big W. And the biggest W would be not having to pay franchise fees while also retaining some sort of team slot value going to the futures. Otherwise, I don't think Toronto would be this happy, because Overactive, they were the ones leading the charge on this whole legal battle. And the fact that they're happy now says well for the future of the league, because they probably would have pulled out with a bunch of other teams and went full legal on Blizzard otherwise. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I love it how this is a humongous topic and Johnny's just like, do anyone have any big takes on this? Does anyone have any thoughts on this?
Look, me comparatively, relatively speaking, I'm scared of giving big takes on stuff like this, because I am just so unaware of, like, you know, privy to this information.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's does anyone have any big takes about what happened to Archduke Ferdinand? Anyone have any thoughts on what happened there? But overall,
shut up.
I think this is a interesting thing. I don't know if it's it's not a guaranteed positive, nor is it a guaranteed negative, I think, in this case, because in some ways, if you view this in the bubble, you're like, oh, this is nice because teams no longer have a burden of fees to pay, and potentially moving forward, right, it opens up the idea potentially of like, if they're rescinding all fees, expansion teams, right? Like, will they change their process for franchising to what if they could now just amend it to be like Valorant franchising with the partnership system, where there's no longer people paying in to be a part of this, but rather they're getting approved, but Overwatch League has full control over those approvals, right? So like, they don't actually have, and they're just instead giving out their money via rev share and like stipends and stuff. So that is a possibility, right? So that's good, and it shows that also Overwatch League themselves are able to go to the table and be like, here's things that we want to make the league work, we want to make the ecosystem work. The negative potentials are, well, if there's no fees holding teams in place that want to leave, what's stopping them from just potentially cutting and running, right? Like, if there's no other money that you're legally owed to the ecosystem that you ourselves have to pay, if some people could just be like, well, we already have a sunk cost, why burn any more cash? Let's head out. I'm gonna head out, you know? Though the only thing that's holding some of these teams potentially could also be the fees they've already paid, right? Because this says nothing of the refunding of fees that they've paid already, more so any outstanding fees they do not have to pay. Along with like I think the overactive announcement included like, you know, like early rev share and stuff like that. So like, they've essentially gotten a forward on the money that the league owed them anyways. Like, they just got an advance on that money in many ways. So I don't think it's like a guaranteed positive. Yeah, early payment of league revenue share. So like, there are positives to this because it shows that they want to work on the league and they want to keep people invested, and also could change the potential for expansion in the future. But also, there, you know, the fees are potentially the one thing holding owners that want to leave in the system still, right? So it runs both ways. Now, I don't know if there's been anything said about like if there's any potential refunds of the current fees that have been paid, like the fees that have already happened, but that would be an interesting thing to like, if something like that ever gets reported on. But like, I do think that this is like, overall, it's kind of a positive, but it's more so like, what do they do then to retain the teams that might want to leave now that there's nothing holding them into the system type of thing. And what would the ecosystem look like also if you want to bring in new partners, new teams potentially that don't have to pay any fees? So it's interesting.
Challenge you on that
across the board.
Should they try and retain the teams that want to leave? Because my position is like, if the teams want to leave, why do you want to force teams like the Vegases to stay around when they don't want to commit to their teams?
I guess the question becomes of like, do we think we could replace anyone that left?
Depends on what the new system. If we're doing like a Valorant system, then easily we could replace the teams, right?
Maybe. I mean, like, I think it just depends on like that. That's kind of the problem of like, with the current climate, I think a lot of teams across the board, there's reduced money, like there's reduced spend. We're focusing on titles that clearly there's a path to that profitability. So like, Overwatch, they're building that path still, and like, how do they make it? Like, I think the league's biggest challenge currently compared to like a partnership system in Valorant, right? Valorant, we have clear, very successful microtransaction systems for your events, for your teams. You have like much more integration with them into the game. And additionally, like, no one had to pay any money at all to really begin with. And they get like they also get a direct stipend. It's not just rev share. They like, Riot literally just pays them to be a part of the league, right? Which you could argue like, removal of fees and like early rev share and like the ways they changed it up are like sort of like getting paid to participate in the league, but it's not really just a pure monetary stipend, you know? So I think that's the biggest problem, is that like, if someone wants to commit, and also they have to like, but there is a chance, right? Like, if someone's smart, they're like, okay, there is definitely a chance. I don't think that's impossible that we can get new partners, especially if we remove fees to participate in the league. There is like, you know, the Overwatch League shop. It's clear that they're working to try to make it work. They're trying to add extra, you know, they're adding new skins. They're adding the stuff that they can make money on, but it's still not as clear as it currently is with Riot. And also like, where Riot views like their partnership program as more marketing spend, while Overwatch League is still trying to do this pseudo like, okay, we have to take, you know, broadcast deals or else we're not going to be solvent, and though there's not going to be this current version of the ecosystem type of thing. So I don't know. I think it's tough, but I do think that there is a potential to attract someone, because also if someone's smart, they're not going to come in and spend crazy money. Like Valorant and the partnerships, some people are spending crazy money. Overwatch League, the salaries are all pretty adjusted and downscaled already. So if you come in with reasonable financial expectations, I think it's possible. It's just, you know, you never know, right? Like, people could leave and there's no guarantee at all, especially with the current stink around like certain thing around esports in general as a whole, but also around like some people's views of the outside of like the ecosystem. you know, people leaving could just mean that there's less people employing players and coaches and less events, etc. So it is just a double-edged sword. But I do agree, the best possible case would be to let people leave. But I also think the even better case would be the league somehow shows that, like, hey, there is still value here. Stick with us, and we can, like, make it work. So yeah, we'll see though on that. But I do think that, like, that's probably the best case scenario, is that they can hopefully retain everyone and show them that there's still a path to being a part of the system.
Jaws, if theoretically Vegas Eternal, they were like, we're out. We're not good at this Overwatch League thing. It hasn't worked out for us performance-wise. LA Valiant, sorry, we couldn't find a social media manager. We gotta fold. We can't do this anymore. LA Gladiators, we're gonna focus on the LA Rams and football in Los Angeles. 3 teams leave, theoretically speaking, and Overwatch League goes, hey, what if we get contenders teams to replace these teams? Would you be happy about that? Or would you rather see, like, the Western region just be Overwatch League teams and no tier 2?
I think just running some sort of Pro-Am-esque style system where they could maybe win a slot, but it's not, like, guaranteed like what the other teams had, would probably be the best case scenario there. More integration into tier 2 scene is nice. How did Valorant do it? You can get relegated from... Oh,
yeah. Well, no, the tier 1 teams can't get relegated. It's tier 2 teams get promoted. So if you win challengers, if you go to, like, the Ascension tournament and win that, essentially the best team from that gets promoted into tier 1, into the partnership program, and they stay there for 2 years, and then they go back down again. You win the right by being the best team in tier 2 on Earth, essentially, or to get into the partnership program and then stay there for 2 years.
I think that would be an interesting way of doing the Overwatch League, just because a lot of tier 2 teams, especially in the East, are so strong that can compete on the same level with Overwatch League teams, O2 Blast, etc. I mean, we're already kind of seeing it. Although, with the NA Pro-Am, not so much, but, like, the Eastern, it's not a Pro-Am, but, like, with the knockouts, like, holy shit, some of these teams are really sick. A lot of them are, like, a lot of ex-Overwatch League teams, or Overwatch League players, so kind of makes sense why they'd be able to compete, but I think that would be an interesting way of doing the league again, or, like, having a new kind of system if teams do end up want to drop out. But then you could also say, well, maybe that doesn't have to be the case, and we'll just drop a few teams anyway for North America, and we just kind of skinny it down a little bit. I also don't think that's a super bad idea either, even if we don't include some of the tier 2 teams, because I think match quality in general will just go up, and I think it'll be a better viewing experience and casting experience. It's hard to say.
If I had to make my whole rant on that thing, I would go back to the 4 stages format. That was so good last year and has been fantastic in Overwatch League history, where we have 4 stages, all right? We got
you know who to fucking point to. You know who to fucking point to when it comes to that shit, Johnny.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, four stages, and then it actually kind of makes sense if you have 4 stages, because in the tier 2 scene, you can actually run qualifiers. That can be like the tier 2 contenders kind of vibe, that you can qualify for these different stages. So it's kind of like staggered, right? So, like, 1 month before stage 1 of the Overwatch League, the contenders teams qualify for X number of spots in the first stage, and then you play that out, and maybe there's some reward at the end of the tunnel. You give these tier 2 teams a chance. But all the Overwatch League franchises, they have guaranteed spots. So they always remain. There's no relegation included. And so, theoretical number, you have like 10 Overwatch League teams and maybe like 4 contenders teams that participate in a stage. That doesn't make sense, but you get what I mean. And then you can run these 4 stages throughout the season. So it guarantees a few things. It's really exciting because you have the underdog tier 2 teams that participate in every single stage. It also makes sure that all the tier 2 teams that compete every stage, they're actually good in this meta. They're actually good in this stage because they've recently qualified for the Overwatch League. It guarantees that the Overwatch League teams, they get value because they get to retain their spot each stage, and they actually they paid X number of money to buy into the league. Well, you get value by your secure ticket every single stage, and it also guarantees you MTX because you're a mainstay every single stage. You can actually invest in skins and stuff like that, and these teams will earn revenue share from stuff that is in the store and stuff like that, and they'll get some return on that stuff. So you're opening up the system, but you're also providing value to all the Overwatch League franchises by them still in this kind of stage format, right? So I just love to see that. I know we haven't even finished the Midseason Madness yet, but I really miss the 4 stages. And if you open that up, now you kind of can that. I think that this waiving of the franchise fees has kind of enabled that. So I'd just like to see us return to 4 stages, and you invite some tier 2 teams to qualify. The tier 2 teams would be thriving, or like the scene would be thriving, because it actually matters in the long run. You'd qualify for the Overwatch League, but all the Overwatch League teams are still like, have this aura around them. So
it was the best format we've had in a few years, which is sad because, man, we hit, obviously everything hit the fan with COVID and shit, and then we went through different iterations of the different formats, and then we had the fucking ban system, and that was shit. And then, obviously we're in Overwatch 2 now, which is a ton different. But last year's format was just so good because it was hype every month or so, every couple of months kind of thing. It was like, holy shit, like tournament time, let's go, baby. And then we're crowning people tournament winners, which was just the point really system. Sick.
Point system from last year needed a bit of work. Aside from that, was good.
But aside from that, it was fucking sick. Because right now it's like, we have a lot of like regular season games. Then we have the mid-season, and then which is the tournament, and then we have regular season games again, and then we're going into playoffs. And it's like, okay, so technically we have 2 tournaments in a way, but if you just tweak the point system and had the 4 different stages, it would be way better. And we could also have like the skins for each of the tournaments too, right? If obviously the devs want to continue doing that, maybe they only want to do a couple of tournaments, maybe, I'm not sure, or like one for mid-season, one for playoffs or something. I don't know. That's a whole nother problem. But I think last year's format was the best, and it is painful that we kind of strayed away from that because it was hype.
Yeah, it's interesting too because the prize money this year is honestly pretty good as well.
Yeah,
but we've just completely solidified it into like 2 only tournaments when like we could have like a reasonable 4 tournament system and have like the sort of like how CDL or just other things do. And it's just like, and I kind of like Johnny's alternative potentially of like we just have the 4 stages with 4 tournaments again, of like each option gives tier 2 teams to qualify in both regions, East and West, to go play in that Overwatch League tournament, right? And then maybe we have a set of points from that then qualifies you to playoffs, right? And then you can go play in playoffs and play like a final tournament and like there. But like that would be the best system. I still think though the issue with a lot of this stuff is that we still have to balance, even with the fees refunded and some like early rev share being distributed, is like what the problem with opening up the ecosystem still is like, what do you do with all the money that people already paid? Like, what do you do with that money? Like, would you be cool if you were an org owner? How would you find with a new team coming in and being part of like earning, the ability to get microtransaction fees and like be a part of the league and guaranteed spots, et cetera, how would you, and get like that guaranteed broadcast time? How would you be cool with that if someone came in, paid $0 and you still paid in, even if the rest have been refunded, you paid like $10 million, right? Like,
the solution is those, you don't have new partnership teams. You have, like Johnny says, where every single stage, split, whatever tournament phase, you qualify in new contenders teams, but they're not actually part of the rev share, because I actually think that's hard to implement. If you're talking about regulation, like relegation, stuff like that, you're having new teams come in every tournament. You can't. How do you give them skins? You just can't. So you can't. I don't think you can add in the contenders teams to the rev share at all. And I think this is part of what I was saying earlier, where the best scenario for the remaining teams that want to stay is that their slot value still retains value while they don't have any fees left to pay. And the way to do that is to give them guaranteed positions in the Overwatch League every single stage, however many tournaments you want to go, and every non-partner team has to requalify every single time. The only downside to that is depending on how many lands we have, because logistics for lands is expensive, whether that's the team paying for it, which the teams have been paying it the last year, or whether that's the league helping to pay for that, which gets expensive for the league. So depending on, if you can imagine a theoretical world where somehow, hypothetical, all the Overwatch League teams shit the bed and only contenders teams make it to playoffs, they go to LAN, how much money does that going to cost Blizzard to fly all those teams out and house them and all that kind of stuff? Very fucking expensive, right? So that's maybe one issue.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I still think having a format like last year where you removed all the lands, but then having the mid-season, that is the cross one with the APAC teams and the North American teams, like we're doing right now, right? And then you also have the other tournaments, but they're just online. I think that's a way better system than we've got right now. Like, you still have the expense of the mid-season
two lands,
madness.
fine.
Yes, but and then playoffs, obviously, but you still have a couple of tournaments also in that system where it's just online, and that's okay because that doesn't cost anything extra. Maybe in graphics assets, you could argue,
It's like
I guess, but
the 6-team mid-season madness thing, I'm just kind of speculating right now. I think a lot of the reason why we only have 6 teams is because the cost of LAN, cost of teams getting teams over, and all that.
That's
kind
where
of
I landed as well.
And so because
the average cost to run like a homestand / like major in COD, I remember reading a while back, and like it's like pretty much you're guaranteed to lose a couple 100,000. You're
I'm
guaranteed
talking
to
about
lose.
teams are traveling. I'm talking about teams.
No, but I'm talking about. But I'm also talking about like running events. Like I'm just talking about running events.
Yeah,
as well.
number of matches, like 3 broadcast days for 6 teams make more sense.
You're just guaranteed.
So-
you're just literally guaranteed to lose a couple 100,000.
So everyone loses money. The league loses money. The teams lose money going on. Well, they probably get some back depending on prize money. But the cost to go to LAN is not cheap. And if you are a contenders no org team, you have zero money. $0 they went to Korea. Yeah, so
$0.
But,
so yeah, that's the only tough part for the contenders teams. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I think next year's potential format of what Johnny's saying as a speculation, as like a hope or wish list, is really good. I like that.
Yeah, but we have to move this show along. But I think we've proven. I promise we'll have a format discussion at some point because it's a conversation I really want to have. But I think we've proven, because we had 2 years essentially just all online, that format takes precedent over everything. Like, it doesn't matter if it's on LAN or if it's online. If the format is banger and there's some great storylines coming out of that, like, you'll enjoy it whether the teams are at LAN. Like, it's obviously we all want LAN, but if the format is not as fun, then the product
just
will
have
suffer.
tournaments. It doesn't have to necessarily only be on LAN. LAN's great, but like just literally just have tournaments
Just
that
have
are
tournaments,
exciting to watch.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the knockouts didn't really feel like a tournament, but we'll get to that. We'll talk about the knockouts later on. We're moving on. Next up, I want to talk about the Twitch drama that went down yesterday. And I know that it's not strictly, related to Overwatch, the Overwatch League, but it's a huge deal in the entire esports scene, in the streaming scene, and obviously we all do for a living. So obviously it's very relevant to all of us. So Twitch came out yesterday and they made a huge announcement about their branded content guidelines, which relates to showing logos on your stream or playing your own ads, meaning not Twitch ads, but like videos that you have gotten from sponsors, stuff like that, for example. And this is just like a huge thing for them when it comes to the legal stuff behind, like, is this video sponsored, is this streamer endorsing this product? And then they integrated a bunch of different format requirements to, like, how big does the logo need to be, what classifies as an endorsement. For example, like talking about your favorite restaurant, it's not like a sponsored kind of thing about your favorite restaurant, but it's just, yeah, there you go, prohibited brand category. So this is also something like, apparently alcohol is all good, weed not as much, so that's important to know if you're into that stuff. They also talk about gambling and all this stuff. So but I think the big we'll get to, there was more announcements later relating to Twitch, but I think the big takeaway were these requirements when it came to the format of sponsorships on channels and the branded content. So one thing, for example, if you're showing a logo of a sponsor you have, it needs to meet certain size requirements. So you can see, like Solomon is showing off here, like top left here, this purple can. The can can only be so big. You can't take up too much of the broadcast. And also,
that has to be 3% when that is actually more than 3%. Good job, Twitch.
Yeah, 3%.
Yep.
Nope, that's 4.1%. That's a funny tweet.
4.1.
So this
you
can is
failed
too
your own
large.
rules.
It's too large, actually. It needs to be 3% of the screen size or lower. And also, more relatable, perhaps, so people understand it better. If you're a tournament organizer and you play a video clip in your ad breaks for a sponsor, that's not allowed anymore, apparently. I think it's just flat out not allowed anymore. And you also have to show that your stream is branded and stuff like that. So, yes. So, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing, Solomon.
This would not be, this is not allowed.
We could not have done this on Twitch, but
No.
It's interesting because what Twitch did also talk about in their branded content guidelines is that you have to mark that your stream is sponsored, right? And there'll be this little paid promotion tag coming up on the stream or whatever. We actually do this for our YouTube videos. So every time we have a Manscaped sponsor, like this one, for example, I click a box like in the video that, like, this includes paid promotion, sponsorship. And similarly, you will have to do it on Twitch. So that is all like expected. Like it's all expected that you have to be transparent or there's a bad paid promotion. But people took massive issue with the formatting requirements and also the fact that you can't play these sponsored videos anymore. So I don't even know where to start with this one. I've asked, do you have any big takes about this one?
Big takes.
I mean, big takes. Any big takes here? I mean, pretty much. I mean, it's just like fucked. It's literally fucked. I mean, that's literally it. I mean, that's just the three. I personally think the 3% logo size is like the least egregious of the things. People really focused on the logo size because it was funny. Like people were, all the clips were like, "Ooh, I'm zooming the logo," blah, 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 blah. You know, like okay, that's fun and shit. But like the real disaster is the video and audio and burned in ads.
Disaster.
Like that. It is. It's a disaster because you can't even put like a scroller. You know, like a lot of times, like classic, like a lot of orgs, they have their scrollers for their sponsors. You can't have like, you know, we can't, like I said, we can't do like if we were to do Manscaped ad on Twitch, we couldn't do that. We would not be allowed to do that. And think about all the esports tournaments and things like that have like the ads burned into their stream and things like that. Like it's essentially hard targeting the ability for all creators and also all esport tournament organizers and such to monetize their product directly. They no longer are allowed to monetize their product directly with their own numbers that they generate. They're pretty much Twitch just wants to be the broker. It sounds like of like where they have the bounty board and stuff to connect you with brands. They essentially just want to do that with everything. And like you will no longer have the opportunity to directly monetize your content. And this is already after they have the most aggressive subscription revenue split out of every other streaming platform as well, where they by default take 50%. So you know, you're like, bruh. I mean, bruh. Like, I don't know. Like this, it's very tough to see. Like, what does Twitch bring to than other platforms at this point, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking egregious. And I want to look at touch on the tournament organizers and like Smash Bros or whatever. And someone actually brought up a really good point. I think it was Trid actually that I saw made a comment on this. And he was saying, it's funny that they released this now after SGDQ had finished, which would absolutely get annihilated by these rules because they have sponsors. It's a fucking charity event, right? And the majority of the fucking screen is the game, yes, but is a lot of sponsorship too. So like, there's a point where you're like, well, actually,
Twitch's own sponsorship.
Their own sponsorship.
Wait, how is that not working? That's nope 3.0%.
Yeah, maybe it has to be 2.99 or something. I don't know.
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Anyway, yeah, so it would break a lot of the terms when they have these fuller screen ads and when they have these like banner ads when they're rolling across. Another very good example, and one of the funniest examples I thought of, was Twitch Rivals. Because they would break their own rules running Twitch Rivals because they have the integrated ads, they have the burn-in video ads and everything else. Well, there you go. I didn't even know there's a tweet.
Look at that. It literally they can't run their own tournament.
they can't run their own tournaments because there are too many ads on the screen. And it's like, and what really kind of was crazy to me as well, when they tried to backpedal, and I know I'm moving a little bit fast with this, but when they try to backpedal, there you go. There's another fucking flicking.
Is that Mitch?
You cannot use.
Yeah, that's Mitch. He was doing Marvel
You cannot use that in the new rules. So there's either going to be rules for me, rules for thee kind of situation where they're going to just handpick who can and who cannot do that. Obviously, for themselves, they'll be able to do that. But their whole like backtracking on the situation was egregious, like actually egregious, because they ended up saying, "Oh, it wasn't communicated clearly enough. Our bad." And it's like, wait a second, you motherfuckers have diagrams. How is it not communicated clearly enough than a fucking diagram that says you cannot have it this size? It must not be like this. Here is a good example of this. Like, it was fucking terrible response. And right now they're just trying to backtrack. And it's just, it just looks bad. It's just negative for the whole fucking platform because streamers aren't going to make as much money. And I say that, but obviously the top streamers are going to be fine. But this is really hurting the small to mid-sized creators that rely on integrations from, peripheral companies, Logitech, whatever, or like Manscaped, that kind of stuff. There's already a ton of people like, oh, I'm just going to have all the products in my background right now because it's not an OBS. So it's just in my background of my camera, all good, So if I had like posters of, you know, products or whatever, then that would be fine. It just screams incompetent management. Oh, there you go. Ammunition again. Yeah, boom. With the Logitech screen in the back. It just screams like they don't know what happens on their platform on a daily basis and how like streamers interact with the platform, make money on the platform. Because I've got a good feeling they're probably like, yeah, people can make a really good living off the platform. Meanwhile, you have to be in the top 5,000 streamers out of the like 10 million streamers on the platform to make less than minimum wage a year. Like it's awful. The sub split obviously is terrible too, and this is just a cherry on top. I've got a feeling there's got to be worse news to come, but I mean, I could be wrong.
Can we look at the Twitch responses again? Because there's something I wanted to highlight there that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, and maybe I'll get Connor's response on that one as well. But if we look at the Twitch response, and I'm going to go just look at it on my side, and the tweet that I want to refer to is the third one. It says, we wanted to clarify our existing ads policy that was intended to prohibit third-party ad networks from selling burned-in video and displayed ads on Twitch, which is consistent with other services. The second tweet says, we do not intend to limit streamers' ability to direct relationships with sponsors. So I'm trying to really understand what they're trying to say here, because it sounds like this is not intended to affect their streamers, but intended to impact third-party networks from selling burned-in videos. And so, like, what's going on there? Because based on what we saw, clearly this does impact streamers, no? Unless there's, like, a difference in rules. Like, maybe if you're just a partner streamer or just an individual streamer, it doesn't apply to you and it applies to others. Like, who does it apply to? This is very confusing.
There's only
from Twitch.
two types of streamers on the platform, right? You have individuals, and then well, I guess you could say three, but you have individual streamers, like all of us, like Connor playing Pikmin. I cannot wait to watch your Pikmin stream soon.
So true.
And
so true. Pikmin 4 coming out. Barbie and Oppenheimer. So yeah. The dual release date.
The fucking dual release date. He's going to do them all at once. But then you also have like tournament organizers, which are the second one, which get the most owned. And when you think of like tournament organizers, it's not just like Smash Bros. Like look at fucking League, Valorant. They could not exist on Twitch with these new rules because they have the full screen graphics, they have the burners, they have the fucking lower thirds, they have all this shit that's on the screen that points to advertisements. And then I guess you could say like companies that also do this kind of shit, but it also just hinders individual streamers putting on big events. The Streamer Awards, German's fucking Sims house, you know, and like when he did
that's why I'm saying
chess boxing and shit like that, like all that stuff you just can't do anymore. You're just limiting the platform so much to a point where you might as well just leave.
So what is Connor, what does it mean when they say, because you're the big Twitch guy, right? Clearly, what does it mean when when Twitch says prohibiting third-party ad networks from selling burned-in video?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. That sounds like the most mumbo jumbo horseshit I've ever heard. Because essentially, when I hear that, because like all is a third-party ad networks selling. I don't even know what the hell that's supposed to mean, because like all ad networks are third party unless they're unless they're directly selling through Twitch. So to me, they're literally saying our policy was, we just wanted to clarify that we don't want them selling ads unless we're selling the ads. That's literally, that doesn't even seem like a good clarification. Like, because all third-party networks are inherently, is something that's not Twitch, because Twitch is the first party here, right? Twitch is the one operating the website and would be considered like the broadcaster, like the one that owns the whole service. So like any service that is selling an ad that is not going through Twitch would be a third party. So I don't even understand how that's like, or even a streamer technically, a streamer on Twitch would be a third party as well.
The part two of that, what the hell is this part as well, which is consistent with other services? Are they talking about like what do YouTube do this as well? Does Kick do this? What do they mean?
I mean, or they could refer to the services in their own platform. Theoretically, like how they service the ads, like typically. So like that could be like how they're doing it.
Regular ads, which they'll go through like a third party that will then service the ads and then fucking put them on the platform or whatever. And then they also have the bounty board, which is like their attempt at trying to take every single piece of the pie, right? I mean, the majority of streamers on the platform, 99.9 streamers on the platform, 99.99 have less than 5 viewers. Like that's just a fucking fact. And they're not getting money. They're not getting paid. Maybe a few of them are affiliate. Yeah, they maybe get like, I don't know, maybe $100 every few months. But the majority of streamers on the platform have no way of making money without going through Twitch using their bounty board. So it's literally there to try and force people, I think, to go through a bounty style system or go through Twitch, who will set up these maybe partnerships with you, who can then also take a cut, rather than a Manscaped or a Logitech or a Razer or whoever going to the streamer directly and then going into then putting it on the stream. Of course, it is just Twitch trying to take another piece of this pie that they've already taken way too much of.
I have no fucking clue honestly, in that, I don't know what Blood was waffling about in that second reply. Because it seems like, I'm not a lawyer, obviously. Some of this is like very legalese, like some of the terms that get thrown around. So like, it's not like completely fair for us to like entirely be like, this is what they mean sometimes. Because sometimes like when they say something, it might just be a legal term, like third party, and this could be a very specific entity in relation to like a broadcast thing. And like, I might have no fucking clue what the hell that is, because I didn't go to Better Call Saul law school and be like, my client, Your Honor, meant to sell the Manscaped ad in Minecraft. Like, that's not, so I don't actually know. But like, I do think that's, when I read that, I hear every advertiser is going to be third party if it doesn't go through Twitch. So like, and that's how everyone displays their ads currently, is on their, I don't know, there's third party sponsor everywhere. Yeah, see? Yeah, exactly. So like, it's essentially just any ad that's not through the Twitch service, like their pre-roll ads or like something that they directly approve, like, or like their bounty board, for example, like Jack was saying. Like, so why did they even include that? I don't even know why they included that.
Do you want to, Solomon, do you want to bring up the tweet that you posted into Discord as well? So, you know, when they say comparable format, basically like, instead of rolling ads on Twitch, there seem to be some services that, like, it's not a one-to-one agreement like Manscaped, but there are these websites that I've never heard of before, where they essentially like sell you ads with CPM. I'm guessing, because again, I don't know any of these websites. And so instead of rolling Twitch ads, you're rolling these third-party ads on your stream to generate a little bit of extra income. And they were, according to this smart guy.
The thing is, you can't stop. So are they saying that like streamers were essentially disabling ads so they wouldn't earn ad revenue, but also wouldn't play the Twitch ads, and playing third-party website ads? So they are essentially saying that they were using your bandwidth for free to display ads that we're not selling.
Solomon wrote, the distinction, I believe, is ad networks instead of ad agencies. So like, instead of selling partnerships, these are networks. They're selling, you know, like 30 seconds.
Where does it say? Okay. Where does it say that, Twitch? Where the fuck does it say that? Twitch, either way, another company just incomprehensibly fucking up. Like, I don't understand how they don't just clean and like, oh, here it is. Here's what we're trying to avoid. We just don't want these third-party networks coming in and then them serving viewers ads that aren't through our like mid-rolls or fucking pre-rolls and shit like that, which is already a problem, by the way, the fucking pre-roll system on the fucking website. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Twitch can't monetize off the fact that they can't do targeted advertisement either. This has been a long-standing issue for a long time. I think Devin Nash made a decent video on it, was saying that because Twitch basically collects almost no analytics, they make less money off of pre-roll and mid-roll ads than the YouTube does, because YouTube has data on you and it says, oh, you're a 21 to 30-year-old male and you like cars, and I'm going to serve you a car ad. And like, Twitch doesn't really have that, so they're getting less money. So you can kind of see why they're trying to maybe shut down these third parties, but in nowhere does they say anything to do with that. It was more, we're just going to stop you from running ads on your streams, and here is diagrams to show you what you can and cannot run. This is just going to be blanket, so we don't have to go into the minutiae of this. Like, it's just so hard to believe that these people know what's going on the website. Like,
yeah, it's just crazy, such an insane like blanket ban on all kind of like sponsorship video integrations, where, you know, I feel like I could actually see where Twitch is coming from, because they're an unprofitable company and they're seeing all this money just flow on their website, just like, oh, it's Logitech sponsorships, and like, oh my god, here's a box and this rotating sponsor and here's a video, and like, there's so much money on the platform, and they're like, how are we unprofitable with this much money just like flowing on our platform? So I actually get that they're like, hey, we want to actually earn a cut of a lot of these sponsorships going on, because we're providing you the platform so you can sell in the first place. The problem with Twitch over and over again is that they don't provide creators like any way of actually like helping them earn some of this back. So, I mean, the bounty board is fantastic in that it actually offers you like a way like, hey, we see you have this many viewers often. We're doing this promotion right now that if you play, I'm not going to say the game, but you all know the game I'm thinking about, for 1 hour with minimum of this amount of viewers, then we'll actually give you like $50 or something like that. And it's like, oh, great. Twitch offered me a way to earn $50 on top of what I'm earning from ads and stuff like that. So if they did a similar system when it came to larger sponsorships, like, hey, if you run this Manscaped ad, Plat Chat 20% off. If you run this Manscaped ad 3 times in an hour, we're gonna give you $100. I'm just throwing that out, $100, just throwing it out there. We're going to give you that money. It's like, great, you introduced me a way to have like a direct sponsorship on my stream. But the fact is, they don't do any of that stuff. They don't do any of that stuff. They don't offer you a way to compensate for what they just prohibited you from doing. So like, okay, Twitch, I get that you want part of our sponsorship sales, but how are you helping us achieve that? You're not. So just taking money away from creators, you're giving them less ways to earn money, to earn a living, and that's going to result in a lot of content creators not being able to stream full-time or hell even part-time. So like the thing with Twitch over and over again is, I get where they're coming from, I get what they're trying to do to make a sustainable platform, but they're just like not helping their creators. And it's like, at some point you have to realize that if you're going to take a cut of all these things, you have to help creators earn more of that. If you're going to take a larger cut of subs, help creators get more ways to get more subscribers, because it's mutually beneficial to both parties. But they're never doing that. They're just taking more with offering less, and that is the big problem with Twitch over and over again.
I mean, it also comes from
Can I bring up one thing? Sorry, I wanted to jump in. There's another thing that's also here as well that Solomon's about to bring up. There's also the $25 fee. Twitch will reportedly charge affiliates $25 for canceling their agreement, is what Dick Serta reported on. So there's more fuel to the fire here.
Yeah, because also they added into the TOS recently, by the way, that you're not allowed to like because you're not allowed to dual stream like at all or multi-stream at all, essentially, no matter your level, pretty much. So like if you wanted to like move to a different platform and like cancel your partnership, you're literally gonna have to pay them to leave.
PLATCHAT Valorant streams on both Twitch and YouTube, I think, and I don't think we can do that anymore. Yeah.
So
I don't think that's allowed at all. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like you said, doesn't matter if you're just a regular streamer or you're.
I believe Kurt said in our private chat, "Fuck it, we ball. We're gonna do it anyway." But I don't know. But I might have to convince him otherwise.
I mean, it just depends.
It also comes after like the amount of just rando fucking bans and like shitty customer service, shitty way to treat fucking streamers. Like, it's just Twitch just taking an L after an L after an L after an L. Like, it's crazy. We can't go after like 2 or 3 months without Twitch just doing something fucking stupid.
I mean, I feel like they're stuck in running out of esport. I think they're stuck in an esport scenario here, though, where like they're also trying to. They realize there's a bunch of money flowing through their system that they can't monetize, and like they're desperately trying to figure out how to do that. And there's no like, because think about like YouTube, who's a great competitor. Like Kick is literally a Ponzi scheme gambling website, essentially. It's a marketing budget, essentially. Kick is just a marketing budget, right? Kick, anyone that seriously views Kick as anything other than just like, what it sounds like is just a gambling system, a gambling website sponsoring a streaming platform. It's like, okay, like, sure, that's how they don't have to worry about making money because they're in a growth phase and just like, it's all marketing budget, essentially, for them. YouTube also has analytics and like ways to monetize your video outside and serve ads. Also being attached to like one of the largest, technically so is Twitch, to be fair, but they're directly under one of the largest companies on earth. And like YouTube itself is technically YouTube struggled to make a profit as well. Like there's really an issue with all of these platforms where like bandwidth is expenses, and giving free people the ability to stream unlimited or upload unlimited content eats up a lot of bandwidth. It's like, how do you properly monetize this amount, right? Like because like really, if you think about it, you can't do that anywhere else. If you want to be like, I want to run a TV show and have a live TV show, I have to pay fees to that station to even do that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It's kind of like in a weird situation where like, I don't really sympathize with Twitch. I think they're not creator friendly, and I think they make a lot of really weird and dumb change. And they're also really bad at communication. But like at the same time, I do see them like where I understand where it's like any other media service where you are running a stream, you're putting out content, you have to pay to deliver people your content. I want to make fucking DVDs, I have to go pay someone to make the physical DVDs, like to put it on the fucking media, right? And like deliver it out. I want to do a TV, like go to a TV, I have to pay fees to the broadcast studio and such, right? Like Twitch, you don't have to pay anything to have access to unlimited bandwidth. You know, same thing with YouTube. You don't have to pay anything to have access to unlimited bandwidth, unlimited ability to upload terabytes of footage, right? I could be uploading like all sorts of defunct 80s TV shows that have no copyright claims. It's like, I have the master copies. I'm uploading 80 terabytes of footage every fucking day. What are YouTube gonna do, huh? Like, it's just like, so I do understand that there is an issue here with monetization. It's just the way that they're going about it, I think, and the communication is the problem more so than anything else. Because like at the end of the day, the juice is not going to be as Nate Shot said in a future tweet we'll talk. The juice might not be worth the squeeze. That if the average streamer is making less than minimum wage, then it's like
the average streamer, bro. The average streamer is making zero.
The average streamer is probably making $0. Essentially.
Yeah, well, that's what's funny about Twitch.
$0,
dude.
$0.
You know what's ironic about the average streamer? The average streamer probably costs Twitch a lot of money because
they do. They literally cost them money.
Based on what Connor's saying,
99.99% of streamers stream to
you're just losing the money. You're literally just losing the money,
and you are tanking their fucking servers. Because you are uploading data and the 3 or 4 people that watch the fucking stream, they are downloading that data and looking at it at whatever quality you're in. Even for like, I'm an affiliate and I can't get like max settings, like, and variable settings too. I can't get like, oh, my viewers have to watch in the resolution I'm streaming at, which has only been a problem a couple of times, but that's also an issue. But then it's also all these other like hundreds of thousands, like millions of people that hit the go live button just every single day that aren't doing like numbers, that aren't making money from Twitch, are just costing the platform money.
So I don't even know like what the solution to that is. It's honestly, I kind of feel for Twitch in the same way that I feel for like esports right now. It's like, holy shit, it costs so much money to put on product, but no one wants to pay for it. Imagine if Twitch announced today you had to pay like $100 a year to stream on the platform.
Yes. So
like, but the thing is, that's the easiest solution to be like, well, you're using our bandwidth, so shouldn't you have to pay us a fee to use our bandwidth? Like, so like, but once again, like that would be impossible. You can't, everyone expects you to be able to freely stream and make money off a service that you don't pay any money to. Think like that's like inherently, like I said, I don't agree with Twitch's policy, but I want you to really think about it. Imagine if we started today, Plat Chat streaming service. Okay, everyone's going to come stream on PlatChatLLC.com. We're going to provide you all the servers. We're going to provide all the maintenance and IT support. And you guys will then get to stream using our data. And we will ask for no money to do so. Like, so you see, like, it's kind of like, what the fuck?
The problem is, I'm on Twitch Tracker right now. And just to, like, look this up. So the average amount of streamers for pretty much 3 years has been, like, 100,000 channels on Twitch. Like, how do you actually, like... Sure, but, like... What's the return on actually like monetizing 100,000 channels?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not that deep into the server. I'm just simply saying from my high level point of view, I see why there's an issue because that's a lot of data being used. I see why that's an issue, especially if the majority, if 999,000 of those people are probably a little bit less than that, probably closer to like 90,000 people like, I don't think essentially not making
the juice
is
money, worth the squeeze. Right? You know what I'm saying? No, like it's not.
This just feels like it overly screws over on a public stage as well, but overly screws over people from their ability to stream on this platform. It's especially bad when you have competing platforms now that are not doing these type of things. That's the worst part. It's like
that's the worst part for sure.
I could see a world where if this actually was really standard, then Twitch would fully within their rights to do so. They actually are fully within their rights to do so, but it doesn't mean that this is a good move. I think they definitely have a money problem. It's how what are the solutions to actually solve that? Maybe it is just really difficult. I always felt like did Twitch really lose money? But the more I think about it, the amount of people that just stream to 0 viewers or 1 to 2 views.
If you actually wanted to put on a protest against Twitch, you could just organize you and all of your fucking random friends. Okay, everyone go make a Twitch channel and start streaming. Just leave and stream on 24/7.
Yeah, it's funny that the best boycott of Twitch is to stream more. Everybody
literally
should stream
use
more
their
to no
service.
views.
You will cost them more money. Use their service. This
is a discussion I had with someone, not sure who the fuck it was, but the funniest thing about this, and it links to OTK, Asmongold is probably costing them just an egregious amount of money by not streaming on his main account. Like, he streams on his Zach Raw account, which is just like his non-Asmongold stream, and there's forced pre-rolls on every stream now, like completely forced. And so like that's the only money they're making off that channel because he doesn't have a sub button on that channel. So, but he still streams to like 12,000 viewers whenever the fuck he goes live. I haven't seen him live for a couple of weeks, or like a week and a bit. But every single time he goes live, he's costing them a shit ton of money because he has no sub button there. The only sub button is on his fucking main channel, which he is not streaming on right now and hasn't done for a long ass fucking time.
If he doesn't have
he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
I don't think that motherfucker
He's like a
gives
multi-millionaire,
shit.
so I think he literally is just a
multi-millionaire.
degenerate. He just wants to stream for fun.
Here's another fucking funny fact to put it in perspective as well. Johnny, you brought up 100,000. I'm on Sully Gnome, which is like a good Twitch tracking website as well. Average channels that I've streamed in the last 30 days is 91,000 channels. The amount of individual streams, now that's like the same person hitting the button 5 times is 5 streams, like the average person, is 21 million streams. Every 21 million times people have gone live. No, but that's across 90,000 channels. So obviously, if one stream streams 30 days, that's 30 streamers, I should say. There are 91,000 streamers in the last 30 days and 21 million streams in the last 30 days. The average viewers from those streams is 27. 27 viewers in the last 30 days is average across the platform.
You should use median because
unbelievably
the median is way lower.
The average gets way skewed by the 10,000 plus viewer streamers, whereas like if you looked at median, the median would probably be 1 or 0.
Oh, it's probably 3, like average probably, like something dumb low.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting situation.
Yeah, we gotta move on here because we got more banging news to take care of in this episode. But
it doesn't end. More bangers.
It doesn't end. Yeah, we'll discuss the viability of Kick as a platform some other day. Moving on, we got. It was a joke, Avast. It was a joke. I know there's. Yeah, it was a joke.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you were saying.
Good.
He's chewing the hell out of the stream deck. Stop chewing the stream deck, man.
So with all this Twitch commotion and all the Overwatch League commotion, in the midst of this, Call of Duty reportedly signs another YouTube deal. So I'm actually a really bad host here because I don't have the tweet in front of me, so I can't see you report it. According to my sources, Jacob Hale, according to my sources, the CDL will be broadcast exclusively on YouTube starting next season. He also tweets, I've been told this is a 2-year exclusivity deal that will see the league through 2025. The move was almost inevitable given the financial restructuring currently occurring in the Overwatch League, which could reportedly also extend to the CDL. There's an owners meeting occurring at Champs where some execs will no doubt air their grievances with the plan. And this also caused all sorts of discussions, particularly as it pertains to broadcast rights for some of these leagues, supply versus demand. I mean, there's pretty much only 2 platforms, and Twitch does not care about broadcast rights after signing the initial 2018 Overwatch League deal. But YouTube, they seem pretty happy about this. If you want to learn more about this, Mitch already made a great stream and he uploaded it to his YouTube channel and he talks all about his thoughts on this. So go check that out. I think it's Uber Shouts, his YouTube probably. So you can watch that. There were tweets going back and forth. Nade Shot tweeted some stuff. Optic Hex tweeted some stuff. But it's, I don't know, it seemed kind of inevitable. And now after all the Twitch news, it seems way more viable. But is this a good or a bad thing? I guess we'll start there.
It's basically the same as what is happening in terms of the Overwatch League. Is it good or bad that Overwatch League is back on YouTube instead of being on Twitch? And that whole discussion took place a while ago. And you talked about Mitch's content, Mitch's stream. I don't know. Did he do a new video for the CDL? Because he did one already.
No, he just released his old one. He was like, I called it. He did a Mitch smug face. Is what he did. I called it.
That same video is super relevant, not just because it applies again, but he basically outlined all the reasons why this is happening. It's like, you know, who's paying for the esports to exist, because this is not cheap. These esports cost money to run, and you know, all the responses that you see from the COD fans is like, oh, you know, Activision Blizzard, they're cashing out, or you know, all that kind of stuff. Where it's like, no, they got to find some way to pay for it. And CDL even has sponsors, by the way, like way more sponsors than the Overwatch League does. And
so I'll actually pick this up and ask a different question, because Nadeshot tweeted out at Golden Boy, because Golden Boy said this, that broadcast rights deals are very important.
Golden Boy, that company, man. I'm so tired of his shit.
Yeah, then Nadeshot said that, tweeted out that the sum, the price for this broadcast rights deal was like, was that the juice is not worth the squeeze? Like that was just
this is the juice is not worth the squeeze.
You would be shocked how little the CDL is being paid for exclusivity. I promise you, the juice isn't worth the squeeze on this one. So we kind of enter like a debate of like the cultural relevance of being on Twitch and being able to do watch parties and co-streams versus the apparently low squeeze on YouTube exclusivity. So I don't know where to go with this one, because this tweet alone kind of like fuels the debate further.
Is the actual monetary amount really abysmal? Because what was it before? We had a 3-year deal with.
It was like it was a 3-year deal for, if I remember properly, 100. Right? I thought it was like 100.
150 million. There's no shot.
No, it was 100. But no. But also that's skewed, because the deal also. That deal was for Overwatch League and CDL. It was split between both the teams, and the split. So that's 20 Overwatch League teams, 12 CDL teams. So 32 teams split, plus the league takes a cut of the broadcast deal. So the teams don't get all that money. And also that was for the swap to the YouTube servers, to the Google servers off of Amazon servers.
Instead of the Amazon services, it was the Google services. Yeah.
So the deal was, honestly, if you really think about it, that's 32. Even if they took all the money, even if the teams got the full amount of that money, 32 divided by 150, which I don't even think it was. I thought it was like 100 million, but maybe it was 150 either way.
I think it was 150, but yeah.
Either way, if it was 150, like they're only getting like less than 5 mil a piece for each team. That's like really, in the grand scheme of things, for like a huge broadcast deal for a multi-year deal, that's really not that much when you think about like a team operating its cost. Now, if a team keeps their costs very reasonable, that's an okay amount, but like, you know.
But I'm talking about from the broadcast side as well, because for the teams, split 32 ways for the teams, it is pretty, that's not amazing.
And they lose 50%, so really they only get
in terms of paying for the broadcast to exist, paying for the actual esport to exist, all the financial costs of the expenses of on the league side, I think that has to be considered as well. And so if that gets paid for by these deals, then that's kind of a positive for esports in a industry where broadcast rights is exceptionally rare, if not impossible. Like no other esport really even gets broadcast rights. The fact that somehow the Blizzard titles, Activision Blizzard titles, can still get that is pretty insane. Now, this would only not be worth the squeeze if the new 2-year deal is abysmally bad. Like if the number is even worse than what we had, 150 over 3 years.
Oh, it's so much worse than that. 100%. 100%.
If it's way worse, then it's not worth the squeeze. Then I'll be losing that, John.
I don't think they're getting close to that amount, because that original deal was when there was still an esport type. Dude, Kitty, you're just come on, man. Come on. You gotta come on. Like just stop chewing the stream deck. Like what there's no crack cocaine on that. There's no kitty crack. But like there's the original deal was when there was still the esports bubble. That was still at the peak of the bubble, right? When that first YouTube deal was not the peak, but like it was still in the midst of the bubble. And before it started crashing when the VC money and interest rates raised. And additionally, that was it, including a swap to Google servers for all Activision Blizzard products. Like, it's such a the scale, the economies of scale there are so much different than what's being offered now, right? For like a renewal of that deal potentially. Like, obviously we don't know the exact, like, who knows? Maybe this new deal is guaranteeing they keep on the servers, but I imagine that original first broadcast deal probably kept them on there for a while, like a long-term type of thing. So like, I don't really know like what. I have a hard time believing they're getting like a lot of money, because if it was a lot, but like who knows, like it could be a decent amount. Even if it was like 50 million, it's still potentially, because also at the end of the day, like the problem also as well is that the current like there's really the models that exist is like the league is essentially, and sometimes the league is running at interests that are occasionally counter to the participating teams, because the leagues in Activision Blizzard need money to operate. So like they have to take deals that keep the leagues alive. But the thing is, sometimes the deals they're taking might be against the best interest of the teams, who like the extra exposure, the teams could potentially sell themselves better and activate products and make content better than the league, right? Yep. Like, so this is the issue, is that the league and the teams that sometimes are going to be opposed. And then there's Hex, who's like, the guy too much buying Park fucking making fun of his week. Hex, the best part is that tweet that was deleted was Hex like saying blocked bozo, and then he deleted the tweet. So like, I don't know, I just think that like this is like a fundamental problem still, is like, I think at the end of the day, the broadcast deal is probably better, because it's like, also when you think of the new Twitch changes stuff, like YouTube is a fine competitive platform. Like realistically, the viewership on YouTube is really not like the CDL viewership though. Has been really good. I've been, as someone that's been in part of the marketing meetings for CDL now, the viewership for CDL is good. Like it's not bad, like for their majors in particular. Like when they do the majors, like their peak viewership, you know, it gets up to like it gets
Their
up to like
co-streams are
250.
insane.
Yeah, I mean the Scump co-stream goes like, and that's the other big problem as well, is that another thing when you talk about the juxtaposition of teams, Optic, for example, with Scump, they can run a Scump co-stream it's like 40,000 views. They do it on Twitch. Is he gonna get that same? And they can sell that themselves. They're allowed to sell that as a team. They can sell the co-stream and integrate their own and like sell it as a deliverable, right? And like make their own money off of that theoretically, depending on where their contract is with Scump. Like, will they be able to get that same amount of views on YouTube for a Scump co-stream? Like, so I think that's like the thing here is that there are two different interests. That the league and the team should be aligned, but the reality is the league and the teams are not necessarily aligned, because the league has its own employees to pay and are operating, and they're not really, and they have to make their own money, or else the league's just gonna be like, well, fuck you, we're firing everyone. And like, so everyone at the league's jobs are also in jeopardy if they don't generate revenue for themselves, while the teams have their own set of interests that could theoretically be opposed to that occasionally, depending on the deals. Like you would think they'd all want the revenue deal, but
that's why Wright running the esports' marketing exercises can sort of, I don't know if I would say dodge this issue, but at least it alleviates the issue, because Riot can still sustainably run the esport, or maybe they not even sustainably, they can run the esports in the red. And that's fine. That's a marketing exercise, and it's whatever. They can take a loss on that as a loss leader for their MTX. But yeah,
that's just insane to me. Like at some point, like fucking what is the saying? Like the chickens gotta come home to roost or whatever. Like
that,
yeah.
I mean, not
like how
necessarily.
can they just keep? That's crazy.
Marketing budget doesn't always have to be like, if you think you can if the dollars you think you spend on marketing make a tangible impact, because the thing is, companies have a bunch of money. Big companies like Wright have money to same with Activision Blizzard. There's tons of money to fucking spend. I mean, Diablo 4, they just got fucking Megan Fox to do an ad for Diablo 4. They probably paid some ridiculous amount of money there, right? Like the point being is that like marketing budget is always going to exist.
Pull it up, Solomon. Pull it up.
Well, they
marketing
used to
budget is
going
to exist separately.
Of like, and BTS.
Yeah, where's our song? Where's the Overwatch League song?
So the point being is that like, but that's the
Halsey?
point. There doesn't have to be a chickens coming to roost moment, because like you can, if you feel like the value is justifiable, the budget will always be there for marketing. Does not always recoup its value every single time. You know, it doesn't always, like, it's just more so we have this money to spend that's allocated towards marketing. You know, like that's the thing that I don't think people understand, is that like when you have a marketing budget, there is going to be obviously KPIs that you have to meet. And like, dude, they're going to recoup. They're looking for ways where the marketing is tangibly impacting their sales and like driving revenue. But like, it doesn't, I'm sure they have like a buffer zone of like, well, if we lose like X amount, that's fine, because this is already allocated for the year, you know, like the money's been allocated type of thing.
Yeah. No, I completely get that. And everything you're saying makes sense. And, you know, I'm not saying that has to be the case, that like, oh, marketing has to be profitable. I'm not saying that. But it is like a huge expense for Riot, whereas Blizzard is trying to kind of like turn the oil tanker around and try to make it financially sound. But it's interesting nonetheless that Riot has such like huge cultural impact, and Blizzard just like, yeah, we'll sign this little deal here for us and try to turn the operating.
I mean, look at that fucking, look at these.
And...
I mean, bring up the Scump thing that you posted, Solomon. Look at these fucking viewer hours for Optic. Like
it's
Scump
crazy.
has a peak of viewers of 80K, and his average viewers are 33,000. 33,000 viewers, dude. The Call of Duty channel is getting equivalent to Scump. Like, Scump is literally bodied them, and he's
like,
an Optic.
This is just in May.
And VCT, yeah. It's like
this is in May.
Yeah, exactly. So the point being is that like, but this Optic themselves gets to harvest the value of this, because Scump is under contract with them, and like they can sell his numbers, stuff like that. Like theoretically, the CDL should also be able to sell his numbers, but maybe the CDL is having, maybe because of sponsor pullback, the CDL is not able to sell as effectively, right? They're not able to guarantee as much. Also, that's the other problem with the league selling, is that you can guarantee like certain eyes on things, but you can't guarantee as much. Like in the creator economy of selling and sponsorships online, creators can guarantee bespoke content. It's like, okay, I'm your personality, I'm a singular figure personality talking to my fans, that I can give you these deliverables that go on my YouTube channel, my socials, and like I'm connecting with direct fans. a league doing that doesn't necessarily give you the same direct ROI on like selling against that. Like greater economy has kind of spoiled the esports economy in certain ways of like how you sell and get value from selling. So like the teams theoretically are getting way more value from the league's event budget for that co-stream. Like Optic are getting more value from that because Scump is generating a product that they can individually sell that the league can't sell as effectively as Optic can, but they're the one paying the money to put on the event. So like, what's the solution? The first solution is cat, get off the damn desk. That's the first solution. But like I think overall, like, I don't know. It's just, the point being is that there's two parties here and their interests are not necessarily aligned.
That's the crazy part. Like, dude, how can I mean, I understand how, but it's wild that the interests can't be aligned in this case. Because that's really causing problems. Because I was going to respond to the nade shot thing would be like, well, is the cultural relevancy of being on Twitch really worth the squeeze either? But I guess the answer to that is for the teams, it is. So
you probably can sell if you are getting higher the team, because also the money unless the money is like a lot, like there's just no way that like, unless it's like another deal, like the original deal, like 150 mil type of deal. If it's significantly less than that, you're potentially like, if you got like $1 million to the team, that's not nothing, right? But that's like for most of these CDL teams, especially like LA Thieves and shit like that, their salaries are still through the roof, like through the roof. Like we've had players leave our Mutineer squad, and now that I've gotten much more involved in the CDL side, right? Like, and even with Overwatch League, but mostly on the CDL stuff, I'm just really like, there's still the player salaries in CDL for a lot of teams are still way too fucking high, like way too fucking high. Like, so teams are still spending ridiculous amounts of cash on players. So like, even if you got a $50 million broadcast deal, but once it's split amongst the teams and stuff, and the league takes its cut, that's like nothing to your operating costs. Nothing. Like that says nothing for you. So like they need a massive deal for it to be worth it. Well, otherwise they just take the viewership and they could sell more on their own channels potentially, or just like a co-stream like Optic's doing. But that's also an issue with like the teams. Once again, they're complaining about the problems they're making. They're literally spending too much money. Stop spending so much money on your damn teams too. Like, yep. I don't understand how this is still happening. I don't get how you can still in this day and age be putting out like multi 6-figure contracts on every single player. Every single player, like there are teams that have every single player makes more than 200,000 a year. Every single one. And
I can understand if you're Optic and you have Scump on your team and he's got a huge following.
Sure, but he's not even playing anymore. He's not even playing anymore. He's fucking. But
he would be like one of the only players that are worth that. The other players, hell no.
But that's a problem. I think that's a particular problem with CDL. This is going to be a CDL rant, but like so much of the CDL shit is just like old 33-year-old boomers drinking their zero sugar Monster Energies on their riding lawnmowers in their like Austin, Texas house that got paid for by their like ridiculous CDL salaries. And like they're all the GMs are friends, all the players are friends. They're all GAing and like, oh, we're all gonna make our own personal rules because we're not gonna operate. We're making it's our own boys club here in the CDL. We're all just doing it wherever way we want to do it. And like then we're going to give out contracts to each other that make no fucking sense. And then the GMs are going to approve the contracts because they used to play with us. And like, I'm like, this just all feels really stupid top to bottom unless someone comes in and says like, whoa. Why is this random 20-year-old boy that has never worked another job in their life and also has 2,000 followers on Twitter about to receive $250,000 in salary? Someone explained to me like why, but no one has asked that question. Everyone says like, nah, that seems pretty fair. That seems like a good return on our investment. So like, it's kind of like also the teams themselves are shooting themselves in the goddamn foot. They're like paying out these ridiculous salaries. So they're like, well, this broadcast deal isn't enough for us. Well, it's like, yeah, bitch, because you keep spending all your damn money. Stop it. Stop spending all the money. Like, what the hell? Like, so I don't know. Like the CDL stuff, but you know, hey, it looks really good in comparison with the Twitch news now though, at least. It looks better culturally.
Yeah. That's why we talked about Twitch first before we did this.
That was the best 2-minute preview of Plat Chat CDL. That was outstanding, Russ. That was phenomenal. What could
that's just like, that's literally my thoughts on CDL. CDL, the first season of CDL was madness. I shit you not, like Overwatch League, there was some crazy shit that happened with like salaries for like casters and players and stuff. There was like CDL casters asking for like $1 million to cast the league. And I'm like, you are fucking high on pot noose. You are high on pot noose if you're asking for $1 million to cast the video game league. Are you fucking crazy? Like the shit that's happened out of CDL, I think is like, it's the stories have just blown my mind repeatedly. Like there's been always some crazy shit that's happened in every esports league, but I'm like, god damn, like
I think $1 million for me is very reasonable.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, that's
Yeah, definitely.
I think that is expected at this point. You know, with what I've contributed. There you go. Thank you, Avast, for all that insight. Moving on then for the rest of the show, we got one more thing before we get to the knockouts and all that good stuff. So yes, that is coming up next. I'm sorry, Solomon, I forgot to include this. We gotta talk about the Tracer skin real quick. That the Overwatch Twitter revealed. I should have brought this up at the start of the show, but I forgot, honestly. I was just so mesmerized by Manscaped. They announced that next week, when Overwatch Season 5 goes live with the Battle Pass on June 13, there's a new Tracer Mythic skin. And this one will be progressive. So Tier 45, you get this base skin. Then Tier 65, it upgrades to Intermediate. And Tier 80, when you complete the Battle Pass, you get the full-on effects of the Mythic skin. So 3 different versions, and there's recoloring of this as well. I believe there's a red and black recoloring that they showcased a little bit. When it soups, there you go. When it zips around. So this is very much in line when you look at the art style and stuff like that with Quest Watch that apparently they're doing in Season 5, which we don't know.
Shit. High fantasy. Someone fucking wind back the VOD. I said it was going to be high fantasy.
Very good investigative reporting from Jaws. That's...
Yep.
Fucking called that shit. It's a cool theme though. They haven't done something like that.
It is
before.
great
I think
theme.
It's a wicked theme. I didn't think, there's a lot of themes out there, but like high fantasy is definitely one that captures a wide variety of audiences. And
I mean, it releases the new Golem game. We can maybe do a Golem activation too.
A little
with the
Golem activation.
We can do like maybe we can have someone who maybe Lucio becomes Golem or something, and it's like my friend runs around the map.
Sick. He shoots rings instead of Cheerios, bro.
Oh, that would be so
It's
smart. That would
perfect.
be so smart, actually. That's a good idea. That's good.
I think it's cool the way they're
should,
doing the skin though. The people are getting it. You're getting it soon, and then it kind of like levels up, which is quite cool. We still
you need to
obviously don't really
clarify.
want.
You need to clarify what is happening with the skin, the way it works. I'm glad that they actually announced the level system. It's actually not different to where we were with the Mythic skins before. There's always been 3 versions. There's always been recolorings. Now they are just doing it so that you can get the Mythic skin earlier, so you don't have to unlock it at level 80. You can unlock it at level 45. And this whole like progressing the skin thing, I guess, is... I don't know if they're going to do this for future seasons as well. Maybe it's just for the season to align it with Quest Watch. But
That's
it's
pretty
very
cool.
interesting. It's very interesting they're doing it this way. But I do want to clarify that like it's not really new. It's just they're just redoing the order in which you can earn the skin, but essentially it's the same.
Wait, am I
as what we've had
freaking
before.
stupid? There's not 3 versions of the Junker Queen skin. Like there's 3 recolorings.
Cosmetics.
Yeah, but if you look at the skin, you can change the
I mean
actual...
the armor and stuff.
Yes, that's what I mean by 3 versions.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is the exact
Yeah,
same.
all
So
right.
once you've unlocked all 3 versions of this Tracer skin, it's exactly the same. You just change whatever you want.
I see.
Choose whatever color you want. So it's identical to all the other mythics and how it functions. The only thing that's different is when you can earn the different versions.
But it has more
Smart.
effects on it the farther you level it up.
Yeah, that is different. Now, what the thing that they are introducing is making it so that one of the versions of the 3 is quote unquote more valuable than the others, or actually they're progressively more valuable. So that is different. But then you could argue, so then 2 of the versions are not going to be as good. I mean, there are options, but doesn't that devalue the skin in some way? I mean, there's different ways you can look at that.
Depends on what you like.
I think you're reading too much into it. I think it's a cool skin, and if you wanted to complete the battle pass last time around and get the mythic skin, you get the mythic skin. You're going to complete
I
it
mean,
this
if the
time,
third
you're gonna get
version
a
is
full
the best
mythic skin,
version
so-
because it's the one that you get at level 80,
Yeah,
I don't
no
think I'm reading too
shit.
far into it.
It doesn't like
that's
you're reading
literally
too
what I
much into this,
said.
bro. This is a cool skin. It's going to be sweet.
Another great
it would be the
preview of
same
our
thing if they
Mythic
did-
power rankings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shit. That would be cool actually. It would. It wouldn't. I don't think it matters that much. It's just a cool way you get to earn it sooner, and then it like levels up.
The
And maybe
person that says it's
interacts
not
with
true,
the
I
Quest
can
Watch
confirm
thing.
this is true. I've literally looked at the skin in game. I know this is true. So
Monka?
anyway,
Monka?
Honestly, I haven't looked at it too much yet, so I don't have a ton of opinion. Plus, today is not really a skin day for us. I feel like,
no.
we have way too much news. We don't even have enough time to fucking do MTV Cribs Skins Edition for Overwatch,
No.
which is so sad because like there actually are some cool stuff, but unfortunately,
We're a boring news network at this point. Yeah. You know, dinosaur
news.
dinosaur TV program show. All right. So we'll discuss season 5 more at length next week, so stay tuned for that. But moving on now, we got to discuss the knockouts. But first, drama! Overwatch League drama! Hangzhou Spark made a
Drama
statement.
Wednesdays, they're back. Drama Wednesdays. Let's go. Actually, today has been a drama day. That's kind of it's kind of lit with it, honestly. I feel like drama sells. You know?
Yeah.
Drama sells.
So, Gray, head of Hangzhou Spark, made a statement yesterday, a pretty extensive statement, it's very long, where the TLDR is that the teams, when they signed the contracts for this season, like the player and team contracts and stuff like that, how the format will work, and here we go, like the Midseason Madness tournament, how you qualify, how the seeding will work, stuff like that. The claim is that the contract differs from the actual seeding, the way they've announced it, the way Overwatch League has announced it. And the big talking point is the wording in the contract is that if you qualify out of Group A, remember there's 2 groups of the knockouts bracket in the Eastern region. There's Group A, there's Group B. And the contract apparently said, if you qualify out of Group A, then you will receive the seeding of a bye in the first round. So that is what the Hangzhou Spark are claiming, that, hey, we qualified out of Group A, which features the 1 seed, which was Guangzhou Charge, for example, 3 and 5. We deserve this bye seed now. Whereas currently, in what's been announced and what's been shown, it says that Soul Infernal gets the bye. And the reasoning, I don't know if it's been confirmed, or it was that Soul Infernal had a better qualification record. They were the higher seed between Hangzhou Spark. Oh, there you go, Sean Miller. Between the Hangzhou Spark and the Soul Infernal had a higher seed. And Sean Miller says, quote, our intent has always been to have the team with the best performance throughout Spring Stage to be the first seed, and we've worked closely with impacted teams, both the Soul Infernal and Hangzhou Spark, and apologize for the confusion this has brought. We have increased the prize pool and taken steps to ensure these clerical errors don't happen again, and we can't wait to witness the tournament next weekend. So Hangzhou Spark are claiming, dude, we signed the contract. Bro, it's written and signed, and this is how it should be. We should receive the bye. And meanwhile, Soul Infernal are like, hey, you know, we want the bye. We're the better team. We're the better seed. And let me tell you, this is the dumbest fucking drama I've seen in a long while. This is just so unnecessary. This is so dumb. I mauled it out of control when I saw this yesterday. Of course, like, Hangzhou Spark, I get where you're coming from. You signed the contract. You signed the details. It should be the team that qualifies from Group A should be number 1. But from a competitive integrity standpoint, why should the worst team get a bye? It doesn't make sense. You have 2 brackets. Why should one of the brackets be more beneficial than the other? It just doesn't make sense to me from a competitive integrity standpoint. So I get where Hangzhou Spark are coming from, but Soul Infernal receiving the bye just makes the more sense because they were the higher seed from a competitive integrity standpoint. This drama is stupid. This is dumb. I can't believe how dumb this is.
Well, then you.
Well,
then
also,
you'd
I
have
mean,
to-
there's no guarantee that it's actually so. Something that's interesting too, because I think a lot of people get caught up on the contract portion. Someone pointed out that this is legally, theoretically, this is for the rules, which comes after the contracts that are signed, and the rules typically, and I'll link a particular message about it. I'll put it in the chat for you, Solomon, because technically, in the screenshots that were shown by the head, is that the seeding was defined in the rules, and so this is a rule book and not a contract agreement. So like if a rule book is changed, I don't exactly know if it's quite as legally enforceable as opposed to a contract, right? I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the rules with legalese. I'm not going to pretend to know, but theoretically that the rule book would come after any contract that's signed, and the rule book might not be the same level of legal protection regardless. Because I feel like sometimes contract stuff gets, especially online, people get way up in arms about contract stuff. And like, I'm not disagreeing that here, like maybe it's bad or like it shouldn't have been honored. But this was found on Reddit, by the way. So also, who knows if this is like correct either.
Reddit,
right?
spoilers.
Dude, I think the legally enforceable stuff is kind of whack. I don't even really look into that because I don't think Spark.
Well, they're not going to take him to court anyways.
Exactly. I mean, they're still trying to get $2 million out of what's his name.
Crystal.
I don't know why. I don't know why I blanked for Crystal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, but I think the rule book is way more important to look at. So I don't care about the legal stuff because that's kind of wishy-washy. No one's going to push charges on that. But the rule book stuff is like, come on, like Overwatch League breaking their own rules and just kind of not even rewriting their own rules, but like changing it after the fact.
I mean, that is rewriting their own rules, really. They did.
I guess it is. I guess it is, but that does screw over the Spark, because what you said, Johnny, like you would be correct, but you could also argue on the opposite side that Spark had the more difficult roster because they actually had the #1 seed in their group, which is Guangzhou Charge. And you could very easily argue that Infernal had the way easier group, because look at Infernal's group. It had Dallas and Shanghai. Shanghai, who clearly are just fucking bad. And
you can't look at names. If you're making this argument, you have to just ask, like, is 1, 3, and 5 more difficult than 2, 4, 6? Which I guess is true, but
it is, yes.
It still doesn't. I don't know. I think it's dumb. I will stand by that. This is dumb. This drama is dumb.
And you know what could have prevented all this is just having a better bracket. I know we're not, we have another segment after this reviewing the stuff like the bracket, so I can get into it more there instead of doing here. But this bracket is just. What is dumb is the way the bracket works. This should have just been one 12-team double eagle bracket.
That too, yeah. The double bracket system is dumb.
Because if you want to argue that Seoul Infernal should get the highest seed because they're the better team, then I would argue Seoul and Hangzhou should have played each other for the seed, right? Because otherwise, I mean, now we're just like overvaluing the seeding that came on in. The fact that the seeding shouldn't have been 1, 3, 5 and 2, 4, 6. You know, it should have been like what 1, 4, 6 and 2. 3, whatever the remaining numbers I didn't say. There was another tweet as well that I want to bring up that Solomon can take a look at. It was a tweet from Roston where he specifically says, in clarification, I don't know if this was what he got told or whether it's just his speculation, but he mentions if Guangzhou Charge were to come out of Group A, like if Guangzhou Charge were the team that won Group A, they would have had the first seed going to MSM. But as they were eliminated, we are first seed coming out of East, meaning Infernal the first seed coming out of East. So that was his take on this situation, and again, I don't know if that's what he read from the rules. Maybe he got a separate rule book. Maybe he got told something different. Maybe he's just speculating. But it's interesting that if Guangzhou won, they would have been first seed. But if Infernal win, then they get the first seed instead, and Hangzhou just lose out. But I do think Hangzhou gets screwed because they read the rules correctly, and there's a rule screwed them.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's not like the rule. So, like, obviously, the rule did screw them here, but like, it's not like they didn't make any choices based off the rules. Like, they were still just competing. It's not like they were being like, oh, we know this, so we're going to make sure
we're going to get 3 seed.
Like,
so we can get
exactly. Like, I think that's a little, I agree that, like, I think there would be a more stronger case for outrage if it was like, now, great. Once again, this is not me excusing this. This is a huge fuck up for the Overwatch League. Do not get it twisted. If someone were to send you an agreement and be like, this is how it works. Like, you're going to get paid on this time, or like, because this is directly relates to Spark's own monetary compensation, right? It does. Even though they didn't technically follow, that does change like how they were perceiving they would be able to go to a tournament, right? And perceiving their seeding at a tournament and like their placement going to a tournament, and like that affects their potential monetary compensation and their competitor season and such. So like they are being directly affected by this rule change. So the rule change, the change still does matter. So even if it was made an error initially when they communicated, like if I were to tell you, Johnny, like, oh, you're getting first class on this seat because you are over X height, and then you don't change your life, right? But you're expecting to get first class when you get to the seat, and then you show up and you're like, oh, actually, because you're over this height, actually, you're going to go into the baggage area.
I'd go full Karen on that shit. I'd go full Karen. Fucking call the hotlines, emails.
Now you see why Spark would go full Karen. No. Because they got promised something and it got ripped away from them, essentially.
Don't get it twisted, Avast. I'm not mad in the slightest at Hangzhou Spark. I think this is just dumb. Like the fact that you provided something in an agreement or rulebook or whatever, and it's different from the reality, that's super dumb. So I'm not excusing the league. I just think the whole situation, like the drama that stems from this, is just dumb.
Can we talk about the response from Sean as well? Because I felt like something that was weird about the response was his response is like, oh, well, we'll fix this by obviously not doing it in the future, but we'll fix this by increasing the prize pool. Or 5th and 6th, like what does that mean?
Essentially before that,
Rats Hangzhou, you'll come last and get more money.
no, because before, if you got 5th or 6th in Midseason Madness, you didn't get money at all. Got $0.
Okay,
now you get money.
Yeah, apparently now it's 80k, whereas 4th gets you 100k. So if Soul Infernal were to lose out, they would. Stupid.
I would argue 5th and 6th should have just had money anyway. So I would have.
No, they should have. The thing is, you shouldn't even.
Been there anyway.
You have to. People have complained about this it used to be the league points, not so much the money before. But like Atlanta did this in the past, where it's like, oh, you could go to a tournament and lose and get 0 league points. So it's like, well, what's even the point? Like the thing is, why you shouldn't be able to go to an event and not get something from qualifying to an event, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any damn sense. Like, why you're literally being punished, because also teams are paying to go to the event. You are literally losing money to participate in an Overwatch League event. That makes no damn sense. You can't, like, that. How does that make any sense? Like, that to me is also a ridiculous, like, you have to be awarded financially or your travel or like something covered here to go to an event, because otherwise why would you want to go? Why would you want to compete in an event then? That doesn't make any sense.
It's just, this response just doesn't fix anything. It's just like, this response is kind of like a fuck you, Hunter. I don't know, like, I don't want to, I like Sean generally, I don't want to speak poorly of him, but I don't get this response. This is just such a nothing response in my opinion.
I mean, I think this response makes sense in that there's nothing else they could have done. Like, there's literally, what could Sean have said? Yeah, we fucked up. How about everyone go throw tomatoes at us?
I mean, could they have just swapped the seeds? Could they have actually just given Spark the seed that they agreed on?
I mean, I think there's essentially, but then Infernal are mad, right? Like, essentially there is no
Infernal are mad that they didn't read the rules. What do you mean they're mad? They're mad that
I think, but also maybe Infernal got communicated to differently than Spark, because Infernal didn't make, it's not in their interest to tell them like, oh, we got the same fucked up rule book, right? I'm just saying that, like, a team's not going to come out and tell you, oh, we benefited from this, even though it was a fuck up, right? No team's going to say that. Literally no one's gonna. I could tell you straight up, if they had sent out a fucked up communique and Mayhem had probably got it. You know, Albert's over there like, let's fucking go. Like, we're getting, like, it's just, that's just how it's gonna be.
My position that if it's the choice between Hangzhou and Infernal getting fucked over, the team that gets fucked over based on what they signed in the rulebook is the team getting fucked over more. So I feel like, you know, the correct situation would be to give Hangzhou the seed and be like, sorry, that's what it says in the rules. And sadly, fuck over Infernal. I don't want to fuck over either team, but
well, it's not just fucking over Infernal though too, because then we're also picking a less competitive. Like, we're literally awarding the team that was less competitive, right? Like, we're doing the team that did, like, it's worse for the competitive integrity of the league because we're awarding that slot to the team that wasn't the best.
But then you're arguing who's better between Seoul and Hangzhou, and I would argue make them play, because you could say that Infernal are the better team, but we can't confirm that right now. That's speculation, right?
We can't confirm that, but based off the current design, obviously they have the first seed, you know? So, like, I'm just saying that, like, there is no, the problem here is that the fact they fucked up. I don't think there is really a clear right. I think from a legal standpoint, I don't know anything about the legal standpoint.
Honor the rulebook. I think the default should be honor the rulebook, is my position.
I'm leaning towards your side. I'm just simply saying that I don't think it's like
otherwise, what's the point of a rulebook? What's the point of having a rulebook if you just gotta fucking make up the rules in the spot?
But can't the league? I mean, I do agree, but I feel like the league probably has the right to change the rules whenever like they did. But I do agree.
They do, but then you shoot yourself in the foot for the competitive integrity of the league. If the rulebook is just flippant, then why the fuck does it exist? Just don't even bother having rules then. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to, if you make a rulebook, you got to follow the rules. That's just my position on it. Otherwise, the rulebook is exactly useless.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
I actually agree. Like that, like, you sign the contracts, you have to follow the contracts, but it sucks for competitive integrity, and that's why I think it's dumb. Because I think you're bound to honor like the actual agreements and rules. Yeah, it does.
I mean, there is no winning here.
It's a massive fuck up. It is.
There's no winning here. It's a giant fuck up. Like, because like, reality is the better thing for the league is that Infernal gets the first seed, in my opinion. But also the reality is that Spark did think they were getting that. They think they're getting awarded. But also, I think it's still a harm reduction because of the fact that Spark didn't change their attitudes or behaviors. They didn't change how they were competing to achieve this, right? Like, it's not like they did anything differently knowing this. They did the same shit they would have done regardless. But I do agree that, like, it is bad if you thought you were getting this and you just take it away, even though you'd already agreed upon those rules. And then it's like, oh, this is our bad, you know? Like, but the league's like, it's a fucked up situation either way, because then also everyone's going to be mad, be like, wow, Infernal doesn't get first seed even though they're the best team in the region. Like, it's just like, there is no winning here either way. There's just like, but I guess probably the best answer is Spark should just get the first seed, I guess. The originally agreed upon first seed. Because
I think that's the best precedent.
Like, yeah,
probably.
Exactly. Yeah. Unless they like amended this like a month after it went out. Like, if they amended this way before midseason, I think it would have been fine.
The problem with saying like, oh, you know, next time we'll follow the rules. Well, you didn't fucking follow it this time, motherfuckers. What do you mean you're gonna follow it next time?
Exactly, and that's why I'm kind of surprised they didn't like put Spark as the buy seed. Like, I'm you know, because I think it'd be a weird precedent, like, if you didn't follow the actual signed rulebook or contracts, you know. Because you could always look back at this, like, the Hangzhou Spark Infernal Gate drama thing, where it's like, hey guys, like, this doesn't make sense. Why don't you fix this like 2 weeks out of playoffs? Where it's like, I do feel like the precedent should be we followed the rules, and the league messed up. They take responsibility for the lack of competitive integrity by putting the worst seeded team, Hangzhou Spark in this case, as the buy seed. But in my opinion, you should probably just follow the papers. So
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it just should not have fucking happened. Like, and if it had happened, it should have been corrected months before the Midseason Madness even came close, and then Spark probably would have been like, okay.
You fix this by having I just did the maths while we were talking about this. You fix this by having a single double elim bracket. So when you look at the MSM bracket last year, 12 teams, double elim, 22 matches. You look at this knockout bracket in the East that we just had, 2 brackets, double elim, 20 matches. The difference is 2 fucking matches. Why didn't we just have one big bracket and add 2 more matches in? I would have done more broadcasting day. Like that would have solved everything. You would have never had this situation.
Isn't that for the next segment?
That is. We'll talk about that more in the next segment. Yeah.
He's malding. He's hyper malding. He can't stop. He's hyper malding.
I'm ready.
Let's move on from here. I think we've all said our piece on this. Let's actually talk about the matches and the knockouts and everything that went on. We got through all the big hitting news. Let's talk about the actual brackets. How they turned out.
There's not 20 matches. There's 10.
Where?
You mean per bracket?
I'm talking about total broadcast. So if you look at the total broadcast,
there's 10 matches per bracket, Joss.
Which is 20 total. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
You're high. He is high.
Wait, you've been in that Pine Park, brother?
He's been in the Pine Park. Yeah, I don't get the double bracket thing. And wasn't this I don't know if this happened earlier in the Opens or qualifiers too for these. But while we're on the East bracket, why don't we start here? Hangzhou Spark, they end up qualifying for the Midseason Madness after beating Guangzhou Charge in the upper bracket final, and then Dreamers, who they 4-0'd, who beat Guangzhou Charge actually. And Soul Infernal, they also qualified by beating the Dallas Fuel, who beat the O2 Blast. So a couple of shocking results here really in the lower bracket final that led to 4-0 sweeps in the grand final. But reviewing the entire bracket and the outcome of all this, what are some of the fun storylines coming out of this as it relates to the tier 2 teams, but also who ultimately qualified and what this means for the region?
Are we reviewing the games or are we reviewing the format? Because I had one more grievance with the format.
I think we should start with the format. We should do the format. Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, do the format first, and then you can delve into your favorite matches.
So first of all, as I mentioned in the previous segment, the difference between doing this format and doing a full double elim is 2 matches. Just 2 extra matches. That's it.
There has to be some reason we don't know. Like, they usually make informed-based decisions.
There can't be a good reason. There can't be a good reason, in my opinion.
Well, there can be a good reason. I really might not know
there could be a good reason, but I would argue it's not good enough. I would argue it's not good enough to have a bracket where the actual, because you want to talk about the best teams making it through. We could argue that some of the teams that just barely missed out could have been the next best team, and I don't know, maybe this gets a little bit flippant when the next best teams are like Dallas and Dreams. You're like, oh, I don't know, but I don't know. Like, having a wider bracket is more competitive. We can all agree that having a larger bracket with everybody at the same time is more competitive than having 2 separate brackets where teams like O2 and Guangzhou don't even interact with each other. Correct? And look at this mid-season bracket. Way more competitive. Everyone interacts with each other. There's amazing. No questions of competitive integrity. So that's number 1. Number 2 is if you're going to split the 2 brackets up into 2 separate brackets, the way you should do the seeding is not 1-3-5 and 2-4-6. It should be 1-4-6 and 2-3-5. And a bunch of the fans have said this as well, because you could very easily argue that Infernal as the 2nd seed had the much easier bracket compared to Charge with the 1st seed. So Charge actually got punished for coming 1st, and Infernal got rewarded for coming 2nd. And that's nothing against the teams individually. It's against how the seeding works, where like in no world should the 2nd seed get the better bracket, right? Because 2-4-6, and you look at who the 2-4-6 are, and then 1-3-5, it's you could argue the 1-3 that Gray and Hangzhou Spark are correct. The 1-3-5 bracket is the more difficult bracket, even mathematically. Why is it that instead of 1-4-6? That part didn't make sense to me either. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I don't see why the 1st seed got a harder bracket, essentially. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me either. I mean, the bracket here, not having double limb is pretty, because essentially for any I think it's tough because it's also like a balancing act in certain ways. But to me, I view a qualifier almost as like these knockout qualifiers where like, okay, you're not automatically qualified. I view this kind of like how like how you'd choose really any major qualification if you're not auto qualified. Is like this should be essentially it's an extension of a tournament, right? It's an extension of like, and also for this particular year in particular, this is one of 2 tournaments the whole year. It should be double elim. It really should be double elim because it's one of 2 tournaments the whole damn year. Like, I would have a lot more.
We're talking about the
leeway for this.
mid-season format?
Yes.
I'm lost.
Yes, the mid-season, the knockouts here. The knockouts here should be double elim.
Well, they
because
are.
Of the fact,
No,
it should like a full double elim. A full double elim is what that's what like
As
Gab's
in a
saying.
full bracket double elim.
A full bracket double elim. It should be a
Wow,
full
the
bracket
Pine Park
double
is
elim.
hitting, guys. Jesus.
Yeah.
Pine Park.
Pine Park it's being distributed everywhere. But like it should be a full bracket one because this is one of the 2 tournaments throughout the whole fucking year. Like you can't even there's no excuse. Like if there was 4 tournaments and like, okay, we're not gonna do a full bracket for like every single one of the knockouts, I'd be like, that's shitty, but we got 4 tournaments, you know? This is one of 2. Like I think that's pretty egregious. I am actually 100% on AVRL's side with that. Even more so than the seeding. The seeding, I'm like, well, make a little fucky wucky occasionally. It's like when we, schedule 2 teams in the first half of the season to play and you don't play them for the rest of the season. That happened the year before, by the way, when we had an even number of matches. Don't know why that occurred, but like, it's also like, this is one of 2 tournaments. There should be no excuse not to go all out with your knockouts. You should be putting up all the stops to make sure that you have the max amount of chances for teams to make a run if they're good enough, right? So that is a pretty big disastrous logistic choice, I think, for that tournament. But other than that, it was fun.
Yeah. You want to discuss the East bracket more in depth here, AVRL, before we move on to the West bracket?
The storylines, and just what went on.
Look, as a Hangzhou Spark enjoyer, I am thriving in this moment. But there were a lot of sad Jimmy fans the day of their elimination.
Charge, I think they got downloaded a little bit. This was always my worry and criticism for the Charge, is that they're very one trick. Like they always play this Hanzo Winston. It's basically their only look. And Piggy can bring out the Ram, and we have seen like they on Ilios they'll play the same Echo Tracer thing as other teams, where Choi will go Echo and then Jimmy will play the Tracer, and his Tracer looks okay, not amazing. But clearly their best composition is going to be in the Hanzo. And I remember looking at the Dreamers series where I'm like, okay, Dreamers take Ilios, but that's fine because Jimmy was playing Tracer, that's whatever, right? But once Charge get to go onto King's Row and whatever other map, that's when they're going to start flourishing. And we're looking at the Spark Charge game at the moment. That was a reverse sweep. And a lot of this is the fact that Spark, previously being a very one-note team, have changed up their strategy. They're no longer just a Tracer, Sombra, Gushui, Winston dive team. They now bring out other looks. They're integrating 20 a little bit more. I don't know if that's super successful. They still look way better with Gushui in, obviously playing Winston rather than D.Va. They're playing now with Gushui. They're playing Ram lineups. They're playing actual Brawl. They played some Rhine stuff in the past, but now I think they're leaning into more meta type Brawl. Beyond that, Shy is off the Sombra and he's playing a lot more. He's playing some Ash here. He played a lot more Hanzo, and his Hanzo looked dirty. Like it was competing with Jimmy. His battle versus Jimmy, especially on Havana, was insane. He had a Widowmaker battle. He had a Hanzo battle. His 1v1s against Jimmy was some of the highlights of the series, in my opinion. And Hangzhou Spark really just turning things around, showing different compositions, showing that where we came to know and love Shy in terms of his mechanics, and not just being stuck on the Sombra the entire time. Really good.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Hangzhou Spark, I don't feel like you have to play too many different compositions to convince this madness. I think just like the mechanical skill from Shy and Leave in these compositions is absurd. And you referenced the Leave stats as well, right? After their match against Streamers. Yeah, in the final. Just absurd stuff. Like, there's been a couple of people who are just like dismissing the Eastern region. And I'm looking at the Hangzhou Spark and I'm like, they are going to be tough to overcome. Like, there is so much skill, particularly on the damage view, but just like overall on this roster. And they play these Hanzo Tracer, but also like the Sombra Tracer, mostly Sombra Tracer, at such a high level that it's a force to be reckoned with come Midseason Madness.
They didn't really, I mean, like, they really pulled out that Sombra Tracer in those final matches, I feel. Like, that's where they really, but they
look comfy.
But they look good. They look really good. I mean, and to me, that's like, I think the thing is that, like, people, I think, have been disrespecting Leave a bit because he hadn't been putting up, like, ridiculous MVP performances. But, like, he had an incredibly good performance there. I also think I talked about it a while ago when Linksa first entered League. Like, I believe that Linksa was going to be probably up there with one of the next best, like, big Chinese main support player. And I think also now we're finally seeing as well that, like, Linksa, like, the Spark backline, people were giving, like, the Charge backline of Xerneas and, like, Faraway kind of like, they're like, oh, this is the best backline in APAC, but I was like, no, I actually think like Linksa Monk can be a better backline because Linksa has like a lot of potential still. It's like a pretty new to the league. And was looking really, really good as well. So like the biggest thing for Spark was like, can they make Shy leave? Like, can they be comfortable on those hero picks? Which it seems like they're fine making some swaps and playing more Sombra now. And like, is Goucher going to be flexible enough to where they don't have to like utilize 20? And like, it looks like they've kind of got it together a bit. So
I will challenge one thing because you said Linkster's new, but he's actually been he was on the Chengdu Hunters in 2020.
No, I know,
actually,
but he didn't really play.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It feels like he's
didn't really play.
it feels like he's been like very poorly utilized. He's a little untapped, right? That's what it feels like.
Actual bubble moment from 2020 London Spitfire. Yeah, he was in the league, by the way.
Yeah.
Actual bubble moment.
The thing is, I remember Babs more than I remember Linksa on 2020 Hunters. Because the thing is, 2020 Hunters, all I was talking about the whole time, I was like, holy fucking Evil Tool, like the whole time. I was like, Evil Tool, wow, I was pogging the whole time. So I do not.
He was benched behind Evil Tool his whole career.
Yeah.
So now that he's finally beaten him, that probably feels pretty sweet on his
Wasn't
end.
Linksa supposed to join 2020 Valiant?
There was like, well, Packington had scouted him. I mean, Albert had also scouted him for Mayhem at points, but the problem is, it's just like impossibly hard to get Chinese players in China. So
yeah.
And this is cool because it's like the super team, the Chinese super team that everybody kind of wanted too. So, I mean,
I'm glad they showed up, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that we're going into a mid-season madness where a lot of people are still clowning on the East, but it's like, I don't know, man.
You gotta respect a little bit. I mean,
in the meta right now, especially with the amount of Winston play, like it's almost the perfect storm for the Hangzhou Spark to do exceptionally well because of people's doubts on whether Goucher can play anything else. It's like, it doesn't actually matter because Winston's just like super fucking sick right now with Tracer and everything. So it feels like a lot of people are on the best heroes currently.
he only needs 2 heroes. He only needs Winston and Ram. That's it. That's all he has to play.
Yeah, which is sick. So like mid-season madness, I think it's going to shut a lot of people up about how APAC is a little bit of a Mickey Mouse region. Now it's Mickey Mouse for like other reasons, like the amount of teams, etc. But I think the Spark and the people that were doubting the Spark have got to. They're probably going to take a backseat.
I think the best part about the APAC knockouts in the region is that O2 can choke in 2 different regions.
You mean like shock and shock?
Yeah, that's kind of.
I think that's the best part is that O2 Blast can choke in 2
you know what
regions.
the best part of this? In 2 separate regions, in 2 separate teams, Dallas Field, Sparkle, Element Mystic can still beat Shock and O2.
Dude, and also, by the way, Reverie back. I feel like I'm such a pussy, by the way. And that episode last week, I was like, I don't know. I think Fuel, like, I don't doubt. I shouldn't doubt Rush because they'll do some shit, man. And like, beat O2 Blast, like fucking
Dude,
or not
like,
Dreamer. You know, they came really. They had a good lower bracket run to the finals. And I should have just believed. I should have sent it because I'm like, I can't doubt Rush.
I
just
think
can't doubt that man.
I think they have a superpower versus there must be some generational curse from Element Mystic versus O2 because Sparkle in every version of the Element Mystic squad he's played in, including the Paris version. Okay, maybe the Paris versions don't count because he never played versus Shock and O2 or versus Shock, but that wasn't O2. You get my point. In every single version where Sparkle plays up against some version of O2, he always wins. He never loses to O2. I don't know what the fuck is going on. There's a generational curse going on for O2 playing against Sparkle. That's all that is. Because then Dallas got stomped by Infernal afterwards. So it's not like Dallas were world beaters, but they were definitely outplayed O2 in that matchup. And I guess we can move on. As there's a last comment I'll make about Spark and Charge is that I feel like Charge, this is where the chickens come to roost comment might be relevant because eventually, you know, yeah, you can play the Winston the whole time. I don't know. I felt like the Jimmy go kill strat it's very proper go kill on the Shock side, but at the same time, Charge also had some really good pieces around him that also carried, like Choi, and Choi had a bit more of a quiet game versus Dreamers. Piggy had more of a quiet game versus Dreamers as well. And if you can shut down Jimmy and make sure that he's not relevant, then Charge suddenly don't look nearly as competitive. And that's what I think went wrong for the Chargers, the over-reliance on Jimmy Hanzo. And beyond that, you know, Spark just look impressive. And as far as giving some props to the East and APAC, what I will say conservatively is that I'm still not expecting Spark or Infernal to really win the Midseason Madness, but I think people who are just automatically saying they're going to be 5th and 6th are being a little disingenuous. I think they should be able to compete with the middle of the pack. Like anywhere between 3, 4, 5, 6 should be competitive for the Spark. I don't think they're automatically last. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, the Choi going quiet was pretty brutal for them, I think, in that series. Like, it wasn't only a Choi thing, but like, he had been putting up some insane performances, and that your one of your main components kind of just disappeared, then I think you're, especially when you've been relying on that strat a lot, like you're probably not gonna have a good time. Especially when Easy Han is in such a good form. Damn, Easy Han
And Spectra. And Spectra
yeah,
fucking
both them both. Easy Han and
owned as
Spectra,
well.
they're fucking good players.
Yeah. Do you want to chat quickly about Soul Infernal as well, and their prospects? They beat Dallas Fuel 4-0, like you said, and Dallas Fuel they beat O2 Blast. So bit of a weird bracket B moment there, but and Soul Infernal, they intrigued me, man, because I feel like they're probably one of the most slept on teams going into the midseason madness, because they don't have that shiny star. Like if you look at Hangtro Spark, they have a Shy and Leap, for example. Yeah. And MN3 and Cest, I mean, they're a great damage duo, but they don't have that same kind of like star power because none of them are former MVP, of course. And as well, like, you know, there's some residual, like, reputational damage for Mag, Skewed, you know, making a name for himself. All these guys playing amazing, of course. But I still feel like they're a bit of an underdog. How do you feel about their play heading into the midseason madness?
There's way less discourse about the Soul Infernal than there is about Spark, and I think
exactly, yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
Mostly because Spark are a super team and people have higher expectations. Whereas Soul Infernal, people still, okay, I meme about as well, so I'll put myself in there and get caught red-handed with the rest of us. But it's like people definitely meme about the infusion, the fusion kind of history with the team, and it's just like I sometimes call them Infusion, Infernal Fusion, because some of that history does kind of follow this team. Like I would laugh if Soul Infernal gets second in the midseason madness just because it feels perfect. But they've shaped up good, man. This team has turned out really good. A comment that the player from Mayhem made when he got the interview with Yiska was that he said that Hangzhou Spark were a team that was more reliant on individual mechanics, whereas Soul Infernal were the better equipped all-rounder team that had better teamwork. You can see the set plays they're making. I think I agree with that. Spark are definitely the more mechanically gifted team, but Soul Infernal are the better team that I would trust to come through with the smarter strats and the better team play and the better coordination. I think we saw that versus the Fuel. And every part of this team is good. Like, I'm not seeing a weakness on Soul Infernal, and we're starting to see why Fixer got retained. He's having a banger season compared to last season. Skewed as well, I think finally not having to play behind Shu and getting some starting time. We're seeing his potential, and we always knew his potential was there, but people kind of just didn't believe it because he never got to play. To be fair, Shu is the guy starting, so it's like hard to start over Shu. And then Mag, I think, coming into probably a better team environment from his perspective definitely helps him out a lot more. And every single player is playing at their peak, and no player is letting the team down. There's no obvious hole. There's no obvious weakness. And got to give a lot of props to the backline, because I think we and the fans all assumed that the Fixer Skewed backline was going to be the biggest issue. And that, to me, is one of their biggest strengths right now, because Skewed is having a hell of a season. You can even see by the eye test. So people will always discount these results and these performances, be like, oh yeah, but you're playing against X and Y in the East. It's like, well, if you look at the eye test and what Skew's doing mechanically, it doesn't matter who he's playing against. He's doing some crazy shit. He's doing some stuff consistently that makes him I don't want to say MVP caliber because I don't want to jump the gun, but like, you know, an extremely top line, top shelf flex support player, which is what we hoped he'd be playing underneath Shu.
And the Infernal are, I mean, also the Infernal are keeping the redemption arc up for Mag as well. Where Mag is finally having like the season. You know, he's finally having the season that we were promised from like from that player coming out of Runaway, you know, all those years ago. Like he's good. He's having a great season on there too. He's like pretty flexible, like even great on the ball. Like the guy is, you know, he's looking really, really good. I think this is finally the season where people are they can be like, oh, this is the Mag that we're promised. Probably half the people that are watching that shit don't even remember Mag's contenders for like, you know, years anyways, right? How hyped up he was anyways. But like, this is like, so the Soul team also, you know, on the Skew topic, God, what an insane, I really thought about it more, reflected on it. I was like, what an insane off-season fumble by Gladiators, where like they let Shu go and Skewed go. And sure, they got Lastro and Babel. You know,
I mean, you'd rather have Skewed than the Babel at this point. I mean, hindsight 2020, but like, yeah.
And the thing is, I would, you know, and like there are some people, there's some, you know, some people have said like, you know, essentially like theoretically that there's like equivalent monetary compensation for Lastro in like what you could have potentially did to retain Shu or something, so like that. But like maybe it's just because Shu wanted to go to Houston anyway, so they probably couldn't. Maybe they just couldn't have retained him regardless. But like, man, they let two like potential, you know, I mean like. At least definitely for Shu, and then also potentially for Skew, two like around MVP caliber flex supports leave in the offseason from their team. Like, goddamn. Like,
I feel like if they probably had the choice, they definitely would have kept them.
I would imagine there had
Shu.
to be some
There's-
other reasons why they weren't able to hold on to them.
There's
there
no
had
way
to
you
be
just
some
let
reasons.
Shu go, bro. There's no way.
I thought
He's the
guard just ran
closest-
out of money. I thought that's what that was.
I mean,
The guard did not, as far as I'm aware, the guard explosion happened far after the contracts for Gladiators were signed. Because how they did the guard, all their competitive teams are still retaining all their funding. They just removed all the staff, the supplemental staff, essentially, and then they're removing the competitive teams have their funding allocated to the rest of the year, pretty much. So like my understanding is that they had all their money allocated for all the roster and budget before that all occurred. So the money was there. The money was there. But I mean, regardless, I think Infernal, in my opinion, I think Spark, I'm still shaky on Spark. I'm shaky as Spark as fuck going into Midseason Madness. Infernal, I think, is a real deal. I think Infernal could have like a real chance to win, to maybe even like win the Midseason Madness. I don't know. It's going to be tough versus like Atlanta, but like, we'll see.
I know it's a meme, but I think Infernal could actually come second, like legitimately. Because Atlanta are your obvious expected favorites, but I think Infernal can compete for second. They are good enough, in my opinion, on that.
They're real good, yeah.
Part. Spark, I think I'm optimistic for them because they look like they're coming together more, but they do look like the more like mechanics-driven team that don't have the same team play that Infernal do, and I think Infernal are the far safer horse to bet on if we're looking at teams that could potentially make a run, and they have a better bracket to work with as well. You'd rather be on the Houston-Boston side of the bracket right now, I think, compared to where you don't want to face Atlanta super early as well. So, there's a real world where, let's imagine Houston beats Boston, then Houston plays Infernal. I don't think it's a guarantee that Houston win that matchup. I think a lot of NA fans would just write off the Infernal here, but I would not write off Infernal at all.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about the Midseason Madness bracket next week as a bit of a preview for that, and we'll also discuss the teams more in depth. We'll also chat more about some of the O2 Blast players, because I know some of them are making announcements, and the organization are making announcements that, you know, there's no transfer fee involved. If you want to pick these players up, you can. But we got a 2-hour podcast on our hands, and we still have the West knockouts and stuff to go through. So we got to move on here. So it's a bit different for some of us enjoying the West knockout brackets, because obviously I'm actually like present. I'm actually watching the matches because I have to wake up in the morning. I can't watch the East knockouts live, and so there's a different level of attachment to the bracket. So I'm going to ask this question now as it relates to the West knockouts bracket, because I certainly got an impression. Jaws, did you get the same level of hype from the West knockout brackets as you would like a regular tournament elimination kind of tournament that we've had in previous season, like a stage tournament, stuff like that? Because what we have on our hands is a knockout bracket, double elim, with elimination matches. And yet, personally, I just couldn't get as hype for it because it was like a qualifier and not just like a stage tournament bracket. Do you disagree, or do you agree with that?
Time to get fucking hype, buddy.
Were you super hyped
one
throughout?
of these before playoffs, so yeah, I think I was. Fuck yeah, there was some hella good games. I mean, the Gladiators fucking on the Mayhem in the first fucking upper bracket semis, just getting.
Dude, please stop
3-0.
cursing! I swear.
Oh my god. Jesus, that's the first time I've done it all episode, man.
No, it's not. No, it's not, Josh.
No, you definitely have not. No, the Twitch
no.
rant was the Twitch rant. You definitely were not.
You even got a motherfucker in
I'm
there
telling
somewhere.
you, we can just do like the YouTube monetization method where we just bleep all the curse words. Just bleep all the
let's
curse
do
words.
that. Yeah, let's get into that
Yeah,
episode.
Solomon, you ready for some more legwork? Let's go.
Okay,
sorry.
well,
Sorry.
I think with Glads, I think my favorite storyline, I think the most hype one was Glads beating Mayhem, and then Mayhem just potentially one of the worst games that they've played in the last month or so, and then them going down into the lower bracket, eliminating Shock, beating Justice, and then taking it to a 5-map against the Glads. I think that was the sickest storyline for the West. I don't understand how you're not hyped, Johnny. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? That makes
what was the thing that made you feel less hyped about this?
What was that thing?
Because this
I
is
think
just
this
like
was amazing. Because also, not only that, Mayhem's run, but the San Francisco Shock, this like redemption arc thing was also quite cool. They went to 5 maps with Titans, and then they got knocked out by Mayhem. And I think a lot of people were like, okay, Shock gonna clean the floor with Titans, but a lot of people also had Titans quite high up on the list because they've been performing pretty well. But then it was a close game, it was really sick, and they got knocked out to Mayhem because Mayhem wanted revenge on the Gladiators for knocking them down so early. So like, what about it was not hype for you?
He lost the boxing match versus Jake.
Or
That's
not
what
as
happened.
hype.
Oh, the boxing match. I see.
That makes sense.
I'm curious because I actually love the fans' opinion as well, and I'm curious to hear what they have to say about it. But because it's essentially like a play-in bracket for the actual tournament, I think I just didn't feel as like hype for it overall. I will say the Florida LA Gladiators match was so hype. I mean, that map 5 was a mega banger, and it was amazing, and just like so much emotion and almost like a reverse sweep. But yeah, I can't explain it. I just, because this was not like a stage tournament, but instead was a play-in bracket for the Midseason Madness. I don't know. There was just an underlying feeling. So a lot of people are saying that it was pretty hype. So we got a poll going. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, like, also, I guess like Washington, New York Excelsior, like I was going to cast that, and it was like a 3-0, and then Florida Mayhem, for the most part, kind of like dominated Washington Justice. So for the most part, it's like there were some pretty dominant games. Boston 3-0, the LA Gladiators. The map 5 between Boston and Washington was good. Map 5 Shocked Titans was pretty good, but like, I don't know. So I can't explain it, but I'm curious how people liked the knockout bracket compared to a stage bracket, so to speak. But
I liked it. I mean, like, I don't see what the difference is. Like, what would you have changed, I guess, for the knockouts to make it more hype even? Exactly.
Well, I don't have that answer for you. I just like my stages. I just like my stage branding. Just like I like.
Well,
my
didn't this maybe I'm going crazier, but couldn't the knockouts still fit into a stage format anyways? Or are you saying that you just want everyone, all the teams that are seeded above a certain thing, to just go into they go into the tournament pretty much as like a stage? Yeah,
I just like last season's format where it's like every stage. So in the kickoff clash tournament last year, you got 8 teams seeded in a double elim bracket, and you just like go head to head. Like there's 8 teams competing in a double elim bracket.
I actually don't mind for this though, but go on.
And then it's like you got top 4 in the tournament, but because in this one, the spring stage, hey, I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong in this one. I'm not going to make a grandstand or anything.
I don't know what like the difference, because like reality is, like, I think if we didn't have these knockouts, I don't even know what we would have in place of it, unless we were go like super cool and like just bring every team like the COD style where they all go to an event and play. That's would be fine with me, because like otherwise you're just gonna have to bring 20 teams. Like without a knockout, like there's only 2 tournaments. Like you need something to help generate some storyline and hype here, because like the knockouts, I feel like without the knockouts, like unless we bring everyone to the tournament major style, then like what the hell? Like if we were gonna do seeding, I feel like that'd be so anti-hype comparatively than doing a knockout. So that's the one thing I think they did right. But also that's because I think the only reason we're doing this is because we don't have any of the other nice stuff we had before. So we're essentially getting a consolation prize of like something that's actually worse than it used to be. But I like knockouts. I just don't think I because honestly, I'd be fine to have knockouts for a stage tournament too. Like where it's like, oh, like the last 2 spots are up for a grab. Let's do a tournament of everyone else. And
so like a play-in
from that. Yeah, play-in pretty much. Yeah, just do a play-in. I think a play-in is like, I would rather, I think that's the best of both worlds, where you like get seeding value and you still have an extra bit of like tournament competition and run.
Sure.
But yeah,
I'm on the wrong side of this one. I think it's interesting.
I think the storylines were great though. I thought this tournament was super fun. Now actually in review, the thing I hate most, they changed, I put it in the chat, Solomon, they changed up how the fucking Overwatch League website displays the bracket now for knockouts, and it looks so much worse. Before it used to look like you were viewing a bracket. Now it looks like regular season matches again. Why? Why'd they do this? Used to, when you'd click on the spring stage West and East knockouts, you would see the tournament bracket. They would look like this. Why can't I see this anymore?
What? Why did they change it?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait, am I stupid? Wait, what?
Oh, it's just that.
Wait, you have to go to tournaments?
Avast is stupid. Confirmed.
It's because you have to go to tournaments. Oh, I'm stupid. Never mind. Actually, I'm dumb.
Bro, Pine Park plus kombucha. That's crazy.
Pine Park is hidden. Never mind. Okay, they're still.
This episode is sponsored by Pine Park.
Fine part, never mind. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. The storylines were fucking cool. I mean, on a mayhem point of view, like Mayhem obviously had like an amazing run, and they had like a really hype win. So like,
What was
for them? It was a great. What's up?
What was the deal with losing the Glads 3-0 though? Because I didn't follow that storyline.
Hard beef. Literally just hard
They
beef.
just beefed, yeah.
Just hard
beef.
Hard beefed. I mean, because the thing is, like,
well.
all their matchups previously versus the Glads, like, they went to a very close map 5 as well, right? Like, the thing is, they've historically been competitive with the Glads. They just had a hard fucking beef in that match. But I also think, like you said, the Shock storyline, Shock actually looking reasonable, like, in their matches. Like, they were looking, people were like, oh shit, like, that's always gonna get people hyped. Defiant losing New York, which I called, by the way, called the Defiant losing New York. I knew it was gonna happen.
The three of us did on the desk too.
Yeah, let's
Isn't
bring up
that
the
popular? The three of us on desk.
Wait, was it not just me? Am I giving myself a narcissist point of view?
I don't know. I don't think we did it on podcast, but on the desk, Zoe was the only one who went to Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Me, Jake, and Danny went to New York. So
I'm trying to remember what
we printed it with you. We printed it with you, Avast. We all got it right.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't always see the desk. I don't really see the desk that much during the coach.
That's relatable. Not a lot of people do.
He's playing marbles during the desk. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this was this our bracket, right? So we
got New York. Poggers.
So we actually
had Glads going. Oh yeah, we had Mayhem making it beating Glads the first time. That's what really fucked us.
So we still qualified the correct teams, right? We had Boston Mayhem qualifying.
Yeah.
So we
Boston
picked correctly. Let's go.
Actually smart. And
pretty good bracket from us.
We had Vancouver beating Shock, but
we did have that. But I mean,
wait, am I wearing the same T-shirt? There's no way.
You are.
Dude, what the fuck?
One of 5 T-shirts. One of the 5 Jack T-shirts. There it is.
This has fucking happened on stream. There's a clip of me, of a clip of me, of a clip of me. Like, we're 3 deep at this point on the same fucking game and the same T-shirt, man. It's just okay.
Get some more shirts, man.
Yeah, I need to make
some
another
more
run,
shirts.
bro.
Oh man,
this is he's got the gamer closet.
The Memorial Day sale went hard. Did some upgrades, Jaws. You should have pounced on it. Maybe there's like a July 4th sale or something.
I'll
just get the value fucking T-shirts from H&M, which are like $7 each.
J Crew is the goat, but I only say that because they have the tall shirts, which is really good.
No, J Crew's not. I mean, you're thinking that Uniqlo is the goat. Uniqlo is the
Uniqlo
goat for basics.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Uniqlo is the goat for basics. But yeah, I think it was I enjoyed the knockouts immensely. Honestly, I thought it was great. Immensely. Wow. I actually had a lot of fun watching it. I thought, because it was just a nice hype knockout. All the teams were close, minus Defiant. Defiant were ass, but like all the teams were close. Like it felt fun to watch it. Like there was multiple teams that you could see going. Like, there was hope for Glads, Boston, Mayhem, even Justice, and then Shock randomly showed up and was like, oh yeah, maybe Shock could actually have a run. Like this was a extremely fun tournament, I think. I think this is or not tournament, but knockout.
Especially on the east side, because we finally got to see for the first time ever the Contenders Korean teams play up against the Overwatch League teams. And we've known for years that they've scrimmed, and we've known for years, we have rumors going way back 2020, 2021, even 2019, of how close some of the Contenders Korean teams play the Overwatch League teams. And now to see that confirmed, that's why I don't think it's that surprising that the results were close, that Dreamers knocked out 2 Overwatch League teams, and Shanghai got stomped. It's there's 2 possible angles you look at this. Maybe you're not super watching APAC, you don't know that much about the region, and you think, well, if the Overwatch League teams are losing the Contenders teams, that must mean the Overwatch League teams are shit. But when you look at the actual Contenders rosters, they're all Overwatch League rosters anyway. Every single team, all 6 of the Contenders teams that came on in, including Rose, the Chinese team, minimum 3 starting players were Overwatch League players. So those could have legitimately just been all Overwatch League teams. So, I mean, not surprising at all to me. It's not not to shit on NA Contenders a little bit, but when you look at the roster quality between NA Contenders to Korean Contenders, bro, you just look at the players themselves. There's hardly any ex-Overwatch League pros hovering around NA EU. Some of them are still there, like Calix just hanging around, right? But then you look at Contenders Korea, it's all the top teams is stacked with Contenders Korean talent, with the Overwatch League talent, and good Overwatch League talent as well. Not even super washed players just there for a paycheck, actual good ex-Overwatch League players that are still trying to make it back in the league that have a lot of talent. So yeah, these teams are stacked. That's why I was so hyped.
Yeah, and also I'm glad, dude. Boston, they have proven me they've beaten all the allegations. They've beaten the flop allegations of I was worried they weren't gonna I was worried they weren't gonna like.
Jaws is cashing in big time.
Finally.
Yeah, Joe.
I'm
I mean,
telling
like,
you, bro. I've been telling
I
you.
liked a lot of these players like going in, but like I was worried. I was worried about what was happening. But I think releasing Jinset like broke the seal. I think as soon as they removed a criminal, then it was good. Like as soon as they removed as soon as they removed a thief, then they were like, okay, like now all is well. Like now they have broken
What was he
the
doing?
seal.
Was he stealing the good karma of the team?
I don't know what he was doing, but he was maybe he was stealing the karma. Maybe he was hiding their wallets and stuff and just like doing DoorDash with it. But like either way, like this has broken the seal. And also like Decay is having an MVP level performance on Boston.
He's
having an MVP level performance.
style.
And Twilight is the fucking GOAT. I've never seen a player do more on Ana than I did in this series.
Casting this map was hilarious because we just referenced Bionades like every 30 seconds.
Dude, Twilight is actually the fucking GOAT. He is the GOAT. I don't think people are still trying to argue with him about like Shu, and I'm like, listen, Shu.
He's the best Ana in the play.
Shu is an amazing Ana player, amazing support player, probably better on more supports than Twilight is, but Twilight is the best Ana player in the world. He's just the best. He's just the best. He's like no one does it different, or no one does it better, I should say, not different.
Can I have a Pine Park moment real quick? I think now that Decay and Mag are on separate teams, they're both performing well. Clearly, that was the issue. You just need to celebrate. You just need to separate Decay and Mag from Washington, so they're both on separate teams. And now
we just need Assassin to get his own team.
Yeah, get Assassin his own team.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I've Boston have 100% beaten the allegations of like a super team that is filled with old head players. Are like, okay, you never know. Like they're looking this meta is looking so good for them here, and they're also looking like another team that like if everything goes right for them, if they're playing like at this level, like we'll see. It's just we just haven't seen enough of like what the really big boys of Atlanta and Houston, like they've just been beating everybody, right? So, but I think there's a chance.
Are we concerned about the Washington result versus the 3-2? That was really close.
I don't think so personally, because I think Justice obviously were really, really good, and like they did have one of the best players for a meta like this with Alpha E, right? Like keep Alpha E on the Tracer and like a really hard Tracer meta. Like I think this is just Justice themselves had leveled up really hard. Like they looked really, really good. They had figured out their flexibility, though they did have a very hard throw. I brought all the Valiant guys on the stream while we were watching this, and they were talking about their vacation in Cancun.
They actually have a vacation in Cancun.
No, there has to not a vacation in Cancun.
I was gonna say, like,
the funnier part is how they said they literally don't know where the fuck Paintbrush is at. Their own like coach and sixth player, they literally don't know. Like they're like, yeah, we haven't talked to him in like a month. They have no idea. Like okay, like their asses are just doing whatever. But like they like the bigger throw was that during that match for Justice, they chose to take the Hall versus Mayhem. It was the Mayhem Justice match, I believe. They chose to take it to Hollywood, I think, and when they're really more comfortable in those Ram comps, like you don't want to really be mirroring Winston that much into someone who's just, like Mayhem in general is just like one of the best, one of the better dive teams in North America. And I think that's the Justice's biggest problem is that I think they have the player quality. In this meta, the player quality was there. Terrazano was like really good. Like they have all the player quality they need. It's just they clearly, maybe FD God's Brigade I think is sometimes a little questionable, but they are still more comfortable on non-dive. And they made some poor map decisions, I think, in that series. So I think that's the biggest problem with Justice, that they're still slightly inflexible. But their player quality is there. So I'm not worried about Boston and that 3-2 at all, I think. I'm not too worried about it.
See, this is why I'm not going to be sad if the Valiant don't exist next year, because teams that don't want to be here just shouldn't be here anyway.
Listen, they're having the time of their lives. They're having the time of the.
I don't mind the players. I just think the org is taking the piss.
No, the org is, they're. I don't know what's going on the org side. I don't know what's going on over there.
But I'm glad the other orgs, the ones that we've seen go to the Midseason Madness, Justice stepping up this year, with a better roster. Yeah, good stuff. And yeah, no further comments from me.
Should we declare it's over?
We need to talk about Defino.
Yeah, I was about to say. Is it over? Is it time to call it over for Team USA? Is it Jover? Is it so fucking Jover?
I mean, it's probably not over for Team USA, considering a lot of teams in the World Cup aren't going to be comprised of that many Overwatch League players, but
Well, also they'll get super. They have Super Lenny as well. That so
yeah,
super
they're
Sugar
super
Free are
many.
both
So
gonna
like
play
Team
for that
USA
team.
dream not dead, but oh, man, Toronto to final is just disappointing, dude. God damn.
It is pretty like
Rough
they
out
are.
there.
It is tragedy what has happened with that roster. I think a little bit because they just don't have any. Like also, I think people are like hard disrespecting UV because I still think UV is like a very good player. I think all those players on that roster are good. It's just clear it's not something's not working over there. They're making like really
I mean, they're
poor
missing a
macro
Mike and a
decisions.
Reiner to begin with, and their damage rotations are like pretty miserable. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like they have like the quality of the roster construction is like they have clear gaps in their roster construction.
Winston and Tracer, also the two most important heroes, pretty much. Almost.
Well, to be fair, Kalush had a more. I think he had, but also it could be just that he was carried by the shock system a bit last year, where his Winston looked better. So maybe it's just the fact that the shock looked so much better that like and had really high player quality that maybe his Winston as well looked better. But like it's clear to me like it's not even like they have the two big holes. Like they have big holes in their roster in terms of like the heroes, but also their macro game is just abysmal. Like they just have like they just make poor choices all the time. It's poor choices. It's like to me it feels like a coaching issue. Like they're not disciplined. They're not like on the same page at all. And I'm like, but I don't know. But they have like a really venerated coaching staff. They have like No Hill. They have Casores, who people speak really highly of. And I mean, I like Casores. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that much about his coaching firsthand. And like also Wheats, who they all vouch for. But like, I don't know. Wheats has had off and on things, but like I've heard great stuff about Wheats too. He's coached some good teams. So something is wrong in the camp of Defiant where like because they just shouldn't be this bad.
Yeah, they shouldn't be this
like
bad.
it should they have like some really really good players on that team and like all the players are talented.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that after their loss against New York that there were some people who came out and were just like shouldn't you guys at this point realize that these players actually suck and they only were successful in contenders and they're actually not as good as you think. I'm kind of leaning on that they're underperforming
too, because
they're
Hydron obviously is Hydron and UV both and Kalush have all had Hydron, UV, and
Kalush was in the finals.
They've all had impressive performances in the Overwatch League, all of them, and even Speedily has pulled up some stuff with Atlanta where he looked not bad either. Like it's just like and Majed even with Mayhem too. Like they have granted this is the first time Majed's been played because he's still not in Canada. Like
he
right? played. Yeah, he played this match with like a 90 ping, I believe, or 100 ping or some shit. Like
it's to the UK it's like 180 to West Coast. To East Coast.
I don't know. I think
like
they played East Coast.
120.
Yeah, they played East Coast because it was New York. So like this was there's something going on in that camp, and to me it just feels like a coaching discipline issue. Like I'm not necessarily know if it's like a coach's fault or if it's like there's like an issue with the player mentalities as well. Because like these guys are all really young and like I've heard a bunch of stories about them and like seen with them, like they're all cool, like fun guys, but like sometimes these young guys, they're not like they don't have the best attitudes in the server, in my opinion. So like, and that's not like that's not a criticism as them as like people or anything. Like when you're a fucking 20-year-old dude that's been playing video games or something, like you sometimes maybe need to mature a bit, and like that could be part of the issue. I don't know. I really have no idea. Like, because like if you start having bad matches, you have big expectations for your team, your mental is going to take a pounding, so it's hard to like bring that back. So this team should be performing better than it is. And I just need to see more, need to see them utilize better and like just make better macro decisions, across the board. But I mean, for New York, on the other hand, though, Fitz is the GOAT. Psycho also like a really impressive performance. And Creative, I think like, Creative has really impressed me with, he looks, he's still, his best hero is still definitely the Ana. He's getting the most impact with the Ana, but it's still showing that like he's got some, if you get him off the Ana, he can still also put up like some really solid performances. So I think New York, they've also kind of beaten expectations a bit with like what the roster quality was here. And like, it's clear that they have like the Chain Goop was hitting extremely hard towards the latter half of coming into this knockouts. Like this is like a prime Chain Goop moment, though everyone is saying apparently Amir is like the real mastermind. but I don't know as much about Amir. All I know is that apparently they're a weeb, according to the Valiant players, and I'm like, well, unfortunately, then I can't really rate them too highly. Then I think their coaching opinion just simply plummeting for me. It's plummeting for me if you're
a weeb.
If you're a weeb, it's like, well, it's the classic thing, you know. Back in TF2, there was a guide where it's like, you can't have too many weebs on one team, or else they'll kill your team because they're too emotionally unstable. They'll all kill your team. So.
They said
But
that
yeah,
about
I think
British players
I think
too.
New York are pretty good. That New York, I think there's actually a lot of hope if you're a New York fan. This might be their best season in like 2 years, 2 years plus, because like they have like pretty good players they've secured, and it's clear that they have like a decent amount of flexibility and like adaptability. But I am worried that like it's a decent amount. I am worried about once we get outside of other metas, how they're going to be looking with like Kellen off of like, if they're being, especially if like as we move into like depending on what the post mid-season balance is, like what this team will look like if they have to potentially keep Lep, like if they potentially don't want to play like, if they want to play like Rush essentially the whole time. But I mean, they're pretty well equipped with the Psycho May and the Lep Lucio.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, Psycho's May's been one of the best assets to this team.
Yeah.
So far, his May's actually kind of crazy.
I mean, maybe if we get into like a Rush meta, Defiant starts looking up a bit once we get into more of a Rush meta for them, and they just get to they could keep speedily on May or something, and then get Kaluj on like Rhine. Like, there's a chance that like that will improve a lot for them, and just like have OG, like, because I feel like Rush has been something that a lot of Western contenders teams are just way more proficient across the board than like all the APAC contenders teams are. I feel like they've tried to force a lot more of less Rush compositions historically. So they're ready to play like this dive style, or like play something that's not necessarily like full Rush. While the West has like in contenders, they've just forced Rush for so long. There's been so much Rush play.
And yeah, Sigma meta stat.
Yeah.
Buff Sigma
seriously.
through the roof.
So there's a chance. There's a chance that maybe in a meta shift post his Midseason Madness, Defiant could go up here a bit.
Right. Anything else? Anything else about the West knockouts bracket? I've had a full-blown like existential crisis about my endorphin receptors for the past 10 minutes. Just like wondering if they're functional. What I should do about my serotonin intake.
Like, my
think
question
you're
is,
fine,
where did
Johnny. I
Mr.
think
X
you're
go? Where did
okay.
Matt go this entire knockout?
Matt was at DreamHack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just for fun, or never mind.
He was doing the BioC. He brought his computer to Dallas.
Probably Beepo fucking corporate business kind of shit.
Matthew Morello out on corporate outreach. Then I can think of no one better for the job. Matthew walks into the suit. Mr. X walks into the suit. Hello, Matt Morello here. But actually, it's not a suit. It's like a suit. It's like a suit sweatshirt. So like it has like
It's got a hoodie with a jacket
buttons
under it.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's got the hoodie. And he walks in. He's wearing sneakers and shit. But they're like part sneaker loafers to make them look more like, you know, formal than they are. He's like, let's head to the business room. Then like, hey, and then in between that, it's like, sorry, I'm gonna have to take a quick break here. I have to do a raid. I'll do a quick WoW raid, and then I'll be back.
Quick WoW raid. Yep. They announced this, but I don't know if we want to talk about this too much. They announced the dates for the Overwatch World Cup qualifier tournament, which is June 22nd to July 2nd. I will be missing it because I'm getting married. I don't know who will be there, but
I'm missing
will
it
be...
too, then, Johnny, because I'm going to your wedding. No, why did you have to invite me? That's fine. I'll have fun at your wedding.
Can just decline like some other people, and it'll be fine. Although there'll be an open bar, Connor, so you know we'll make sure to turn
that's
those.
True. We're gonna pop off.
Turn
Then.
up.
We'll turn that smile around, or
driving,
something
so I'll
like
be
that.
drinking,
That frown around, something
Frown
like that.
upside down. Frown upside down.
Yes, that. Yes, with lots of booze. But yeah, I assume this will be both EMEA and the US group.
I would assume
They will
so.
take in place. So there you go. 2 weeks after, after the Midseason Madness, there will be 2 weeks of World Cup qualifier action for you. So there you go. Enjoy
That's
that.
global, right? Because I'm pretty sure the Asia region, like Asian teams, are going to be part of that as well. Obviously,
True.
on their
At
own,
the same time, pretty
on
sure.
their own
yeah.
thing. But yeah,
Lots of World Cup stuff going on. So
Wikipedia. There you go.
teaser, I will be a part of the Asia stuff somewhat. So look out for that.
yeah, Asia Pacific got 5 spots as well, alongside China. And so, you know, it'll be typical, you know, South Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Philippines, Taiwan, Australia, New Zealand, and Thailand. So, yeah, there'll be all 3 regions, we're guessing, will compete during these 2 weeks for the World Cup qualifier tournament. All right, we're gonna wrap up this episode, but first, as usual, we take some questions from the members, the Plat Chat members in the community, and we got 3 questions for you now. So we'll try to skim these through, but still give really good answers. So starting off with the first one, predictions on where Marvel will land now that he's left O2 Blast. Who needs Marvel?
Marv 1.
Shanghai definitely need him. Who needs him? And who
Oh,
can
dude,
afford him
Shanghai
is-
needs him real bad. Real bad.
That's what I'm saying. That who needs him, who can afford him, are 2 separate things. There, I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if NetEase are keen to pay him money. They would have to. Sadly, they would have
Well,
to.
isn't there-
bin
isn't there-
Flatter and give him the salary.
Well, isn't there no? He left. He
There's no
left
buyout.
the team, right? So
It's
there's
not
no
about the
buyout.
buyout. It's not about the buyout. It's about the salary you'd have to pay an extra player to be on your team. So
Oh,
unless,
yeah.
unless they kick Flatter and give Flatter's salary to Marvel, they can't afford him, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, it might be worth.
Yeah, they need a
As
tank.
sad as that would be for Flatter, because I still hold on to Flatter's legacy. That would suck for him, but yeah,
What does
They
this
need
mean
an
for
upgrade.
Flair's legacy?
it
does this
means
mean for
he's
Flatter's legacy?
fucked his legacy because he decided to play tank.
Honestly,
means.
you know who else I would also be fine, but I doubt they'll do it. But like, I would be perfectly fine with Mr. Marv 1 himself, the big numero uno Marv, going to like New York as well.
Hmm.
To
Dude, I
replace
would
Kellen,
rather-
or
Yeah, I would. I think I'd have him play over Kellen. I think so. Yeah.
I don't think
like
he goes
Kellen,
to NA
but I.
because
I mean, I
of
don't know.
visas. Because it'll take too long to do visas.
Oh,
so
the
I-
would
visa
take too
shit.
long,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah,
I
but I mean,
don't think he
they're
goes to NA.
clearly willing to deal with visas because they got other players with visas, right? So like, they're clearly willing to deal with it.
the
you know?
time
but, like,
factor.
Timing feels
well, if they
terrible,
started
though.
right now, since they are not fucking doing anything for like a month, then there's a real chance like they could get his ass. So I think there's a chance there. I mean, like, who else could I even think of that like other than Shanghai? Like maybe
I think Dallas could probably
Dallas.
squeeze him in.
Yeah,
Because
Dallas could squeeze
Dallas-
him in.
Dallas have the budget remaining for a 6th player. They've announced that, and they could add him. Although I think most Dallas fans would rather a 3rd DPS player than another tank. Because Harbin's
Yeah,
not
but
the
I
problem.
mean,
Harbin's
I
doing
don't-
fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. It just gives you a lot more extra flexibility, I feel like. But that's true.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Who else? I mean, I personally think the best options are probably Shanghai or New York currently because teams that are taken because like Defiant is not mixed, so it's not gonna go to Defiant.
I was gonna say
What about
Gladiators, but they don't have
Glads?
money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, potentially Glads, but yeah, I don't know if they have any money either.
Shanghai seems like the most reasonable option if we ignore the fact that they probably can't get another player.
But hang on, there is one issue with Shanghai. The players have to physically be in Shanghai, and there might be a visa thing there too. So they'd have to start the visas immediately.
Hmm.
Yeah, probably not then.
Yeah.
Probably
So
not that.
I mean,
There's no shot. I don't know
there's-
I don't know about Chinese visas.
there's pretty much no no matter what, pretty much every team is gonna need to get a visa for him to play. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless it's a team that's already in Korea, like, well, he's not going to go to Infernal.
Oh, actually, you know what? You know who I could see it? Fucking Dynasty. Dynasty.
Just go
could
back
get
to
his
Seoul
ass.
again.
Yeah.
Bellassria
yeah.
and Void?
Fucking, I'd get rid of Bellasria's ass 100%. Bellasria
Replace
has
Bellasria.
been looking really bad. He's not been looking good, in my
Get rid
opinion.
of his
I would take
ass.
Marv 1 over him, like, in a heartbeat currently.
All right, there you go. Hopefully an answer for you, Justin Bruce. Thank you, Justin Bruce, for supporting the podcast. Moving on, got Gerald. How many more perfect nades does Twilight have to hit before we start considering him MVP?
A single
Bit of a
nade.
stretch, but is there a chance?
One more nade.
I mean,
One
it
more
depends.
nade,
I think it
one
depends
more.
on what their strategy is at midseason.
If they
don't
win
switch-
with Twilight's Ana, is he an MVP
Yeah,
candidate?
if they win,
Oh,
with
100%.
if Twilight's Ana drives them to like even not necessarily a win, but towards like a finals appearance or something, like Twilight's Ana is like in that conference. It depends on how much they use him because they still occasionally been swapping time between him and Izayaki, right? So like if you're splitting that much play time, it's sometimes tough to give an MVP vote, right? Because an MVP caliber player is generally in full time for a
Permanently,
team.
yeah.
Like
The
typically.
likelihood of that happening, I think,
And-
is pretty slim.
And is also, like, the key player for that team, and that's, like, a clear standout on the team. Whereas if
Yeah,
you,
and,
I
and
think-
like, and even if they
like-
get benched at one part, like let's say Twilight doesn't play for like the lad like towards the last fourth or something of the season or the last third, but they played for the first 2/3, that would still be an MVP caliber player. But like, they're still like right now they just put too much play time, and Izayaki is also still an impact. And like, don't get me wrong, Twilight's Ana's through this world has helped them win matches, definitely led them to winning the matches. But like, he needs to be like, we need to see how he does at midseason madness essentially, and like what their strategy is.
this tournament will decide the MVPs and decide the awards, I think. So, yeah.
It'll be close.
Yeah,
The
it's gonna
we
be
have to
pretty
decide
weighted,
them
right?
Beforehand, anyways.
I mean, it's literally
Bro,
half the season, and
We're almost halfway through the season.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
That's
I've
crazy.
cast
That's
5
crazy,
Vegas
right?
games already. That's crazy.
Pretty crazy.
That's
I'll
some
see you
fucking
guys
crazy
all
shit.
in Fortnite Esports after it's all over.
Can't wait.
There.
We can all join Nate Nanza over in Fortnite Esports the way it was meant to be.
Yep. So true.
Dude,
so
that's
true.
crazy to me. That's crazy to me. All right, thank you, Gerald, for the question. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And finally, we got a question from Platato. Platato? Is support the most impactful role in this meta? The 4 NA teams that qualified are also probably the 4 best backlines in the region. Support being able to consistently cover multiple heroes, survive against dives, and set up engages seem to be what separates the elite teams from teams that struggle. Shock, Toronto, etc.
I mean, it's tough.
Some people have been pointing to Winstons and tanks. Platato is suggesting support.
I'm gonna show DPS bias once again. The reason why supports are more important now is because of how much pressure Tracer Sombra dives put on. That if your supports can live, that makes a difference. If you can survive against Lip, then you're doing really well. So yeah, there's a lot more pressure on supports to just not get picked off every single fight. But it's hard to say, but I would still say the reason that's the reason why we're looking at supports more is because of DPS. And when you look at through that lens, then DPS is still more important.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I'm pretty split because I feel like also you see a lot more support rotations than you do tank rotations. Still, obviously, because most people still only have one tank, and I feel like having a tank that's hyper flexible and like can maps is like really strong. Especially if you have a really strong Winston player on top of that, but he can still play like other comps when necessary. I don't know. I'm kind of split. I feel like right now, because of the strength of Ana, support probably gets you more value. Because the power of sleeps and nades, and also just like the power of like Brigitte to like have accurate, like, you know, you're supporting your team, you're positioning really well. Like Raid Boss is a really popular technique with just like the nano rally to just like win. I think right now support might be the more impactful role. But historically, I feel
closer
like
to the mic, Avast.
Oh, am I too far? Am I too far?
Yes.
Historically, I think tank has been the more impactful role. There we go. But I think right now support is because of Ana, the strength of Ana. But I think
support's
historically
definitely
tanks.
up there currently.
I still think tank is the most important role in Overwatch too, personally.
Yes,
Because
I
you
agree.
only want one of them. You really only want one tank typically. So
And the tank can solo the game, especially on Winston. It's such like a carry hero. It's hard to say that tank's right now not the most impactful role, especially on the Winston comps. On other comps, it's probably like on the Ram Rush comps, probably on the DPS and the supports over the tank. But I'd say in the dive, Winston, definitely the hyper carry.
All right. Here you go. Thank you for the question and thank you for supporting us, Potato. Appreciate it. Thank you to all our members for supporting us. You can submit your questions when I throw the post up on Mondays on our YouTube channel. There's a community tab. I usually throw up like a little post there and you can comment with your questions. So we'll do a similar one next week. That does it for today's fat, enormous podcast with a bunch of spicy topics. We got one more, which is, of course, Brent's Player of the Week. So what do we think? Brent's Player of the Week to close us out on episode 181. Who are the candidates?
I did have one.
Whoa. Yep.
I'll post it in the chat so I can bring it up. Intelligence officials say the US has retrieved craft of non-human origin.
Interesting.
Yep, it's a good article. Interesting whistleblower perspective, and talks about how the US currently have in possession non-human craft, and some operational, some not, and like bits and pieces from.
They have since 1947. Okay,
Yeah.
they've already had the Roswell craft since 1947. Yeah. Jack, catch up.
Look.
So are we giving this
here,
to?
Baby.
We're giving this to the dude that's talking about UFOs.
Yeah.
So,
why don't we
It is a bit of Brent's pick, but I don't know.
Sure, fuck it. You know, if we got UFOs, fair
UAP.
enough. I mean,
actually, they're called UAP. Actually, they're called UAPs now. Actually,
sure,
yeah.
But,
fuck it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really. I mean, if this is my all-time favorite Jaws image. This is my favorite Jaws image of all time. Oh my god.
Hey, peep it, bro. It was good fit.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go with it. Why not? I'll go.
I'm gonna choose Asmongold for streaming on his Asmongold account for the first time in years, and then leaving
Streaming
Twitch,
now?
and now about to leave Twitch.
Okay.
Okay, so it's interesting. We got a whistleblower about alien origins. We got Jaws Drip or Asmongold. That's our 3 candidates.
Do we have anything better than
very
that or no?
hard.
Surely YouTube chat can help us out at this point, even.
Oh yeah,
actually,
this did bang.
the Florida Mayhem social branding for the past month, for June Pride Month.
I had to ask
pretty
our partners if
fucking
we were
fire.
allowed to put the partnership logos over the gay SFM porn. So, and we were allowed
Is that
to.
actually gay SFM porn?
I don't know if it's pornography, but it's gay SFM. It's some gay SFM
Do
models.
you guys actually? So wait, I don't even want to ask where you guys found that from. Then, like, what?
Love to
depths
be in
of
the
internet
meeting on
did you
this
go
one.
to?
Or
It wasn't really a meeting,
actually,
and I just messaged our partnership person over Slack. I was like, "Hey, I'm about to do this. Are we allowed to?" And then she was like, "Let me check." And then she came back.
I
and was
do
like,
have
yeah.
this clip. as
Doing
well.
clearance on what image to use and what not to use.
Jack has a clip. This better be safe for work, dude.
I mean, yeah, it's safe for work. It's just super stream, bro. I don't know how safe for work that really is, but there's also
Super stream is
decent clip
it's a
of-
mixed bag.
decent clip of super there.
Is this
to-
a
to go
Ludwig
along with-
clip?
No, it's super watching a Ludwig video, but it's not a comment on the Ludwig video.
Okay, we won't have
Okay.
audio on stream.
That's
supposedly.
fine.
22 days ago.
That's fine. Yeah, I clipped it. I thought it was funny. Yeah, okay, so that's not player of the week, but I thought that clip was funny. I haven't had a chance to share that yet.
Wait, this clip is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
You
It's
listen to the
crazy.
audio of that clip. It's so fucking
Oh,
crazy.
it's so good.
All right, he does not get player of the. I think I just give it to the UFO guy. He should not get player of the week for this.
Yeah,
He should
we
not
don't-
get
we
player of the
don't-
week for this.
Don't worry, Solomon. We don't need to play this on stream. Yeah, we don't need to play
It's
this on
so
stream.
funny,
Don't worry
though.
about it.
It's so good.
It's
though.
really funny. But
I posted on
just give it to
Twitter
the-
for
Just
the
give it to
people
the
in the
UFO
chat.
guy, man.
Yeah. Super
To
giving
the
a
scientific community for UFOs.
super giving a hard take. A good
Hard,
take.
very
That's
hard
it. You can go watch it. The clip
On-
link is in the YouTube chat. If you're watching
Oh,
this
there
in
you
the
go.
VOD, sorry. AVRL, you seem to be leaning alien guy. Are we giving it
What
to
else
alien
do we
guy?
have? What else? Can we give it to Ninja? He's in my background.
Why would
Dude,
Ninja
even
get it? Why would Ninja
Twilight
get
on
player
at
of
this
the
point.
Because he's upset at Twitch.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I think I'm fine.
Let's give it to Florida Mayhem branding.
Yay! Free
Florida
branding.
Mayhem
Woo!
branding.
Just,
Florida
you just
Mayhem
give it to
branding?
Connor then. You just give it to Connor and direct.
Yeah,
Just give it to Connor.
give it to me.
Oh,
Well, actually, I have one employee that I supervise. His name is Brett, an excellent social media manager. So he's also part of it.
Great
He's
job, Brett.
cooking.
There you
Good
go.
job, Brett, and me. Good job,
There you go.
myself.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The branding
Nice.
goes
I have
hard.
no other comments. I have no other
What's up?
comments. That's really it. We just, sometimes you just got to put some gay SFM out on the timeline.
Yep. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Bricked up. Thank you.
Yeah,
Plat Chat Overwatch, episode 181. Thank you to producer Solomon, as always, for doing a spectacular job behind the scenes and making us look good and throwing up all the links and gameplay. We appreciate you, Solomon. Thank you so much. That's right. Use code PLATCHAT for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. So there you go. Savings. And thank you, Charles, AVRL, and Avast. I'll see you next week, and we'll talk more about the Midseason Madness Tournament, a bit of a preview. We'll rank the teams and do our bracket. Take care, everyone. Bye.
See you later.